on professional development, a better understanding. Before I go on, I would just like to inform us about a few ground rules. Please, we want everyone to mute their mics when the speakers are on board. If you would like to turn on your video, please ensure that you're properly dressed and you're in a proper place. We would also like you to, if you haven't been able to share your questions by now, you can send in the questions via email, or you can post in the chat box. Okay, so please, let's ensure that our mics are on mute throughout this event. Okay, so I would be introducing our governor of the HR community group. Her name is Emma Clark. Hi, Emma. Good afternoon. Are you there? Over to you now, Emma.
Hello, hi everyone. How are you doing? Good afternoon. Sorry for that late start. You're all welcome to the TCN, Human Resources Professional Group. It is wonderful to have everyone on board today. This promises to be an extremely fantastic event. We're going to be talking about professional development today. But before we get started, I'll just tell you a little bit about who we are. We are the Covenant Nation Human Resources Professional Group, and we are an expression of the Covenant Nation community groups. And the Covenant Nation community groups are a larger expression of the Covenant Nation. And the Covenant Nation is a contemporary Bible-believing church. We're run by Pastor Poji Oyemade. We started way back in 1994, and I think that we believe we're well known for impacting the entire nation. We had a wonderful session yesterday called The Platform, and it was a wonderful time engaging at the level of national development. But today we're going to direct our attention to the human resources profession, and we're going to be interrogating a number of issues that have to do with the professional space and developing ourselves as professionals within the human resources profession. So I just want you to sit back, relax a little bit. We're going to play a little bit of music while we onboard one or two of our speakers and get ready to start the rest of the program. Thank you once again for coming. And I really assure you that we're all going to have a wonderful session. Thank you very much. God bless. And talk to you later.
Okay, thank you very much, Emma, for that brief introduction. So we will be introducing the next speaker. I will be calling on my colleague, Nebechi. Hi, Nebechi. Can you please take over?
The multinational company, as well as the HR functions of several multinational companies. For over 16 years, he has held executive HR roles in major businesses as the HR lead and member of the country business leadership, as well as African regional leadership. He has also received recognition in the professional institutions for both HR and engineering, both locally and internationally. Mr. Adediran has also served in leadership roles for the HR Professional Institute, and he's also held roles first as a member and then as a chairman of various council committees. After serving as vice president of the CIPM, he was recently elected as president and chairman of the governing council of the Institute of Personnel Management, CIPM, where he now serves. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my utmost pleasure to welcome officially Mr. Wale Adediran to this meeting. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. We hand over the meeting to you. We're looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you very much, Hima. And thanks to my colleagues on your network for inviting me. First, apology for starting behind time. I've actually been on for more than 30 minutes trying to get on board. But thank God that problem is solved now, and I'm here. So no more time to waste. I want to appreciate my colleagues that have been invited to enlighten us today about how we can build a career in HR, how we can develop ourselves professionally. I acknowledge Yetunde, Opemipo, Remi, Adaora, and Ajibola Bamidele, my townsman. So I think we are blessed. We have quite a formidable team that will take us through today. I'm making some basic assumptions. One, I'm discussing with our colleagues who are growing in HR career. Two, I'm speaking with colleagues who will be familiar with a few references I will make to the scriptures. So let me start this keynote talking about building our career through professional development by making reference to two important phrases or quotations. So one is 2 Timothy chapter 2, verses 15 and 16. And the second reference I'll be making is to the 70-20-10 rule. So those are the two key planks on which my keynote will be leaning. The 70-20-10 and 2-15-16. That's 2 Timothy 2-15-16. So you can't see my screen, but all the same, I will do my best to read clearly for you. And I'm starting with this quotation, which is inspired by 2 Timothy chapter 2, verses 15 and 16. The scripture says, and I read, "Do your best to present yourself, to God, here to the stakeholders as one approved, a professional who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly handles the word of truth. Do your best to present yourself as one approved, a professional who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly handles the word of truth. Avoid godless chatter, because those who indulge in it will become more and more unprofessional," quote and unquote. That's from Apostle Paul to Timothy, my version of it, my rendering of it. So what this does when we talk about professional development is first to charge us to realize that the profession we are talking about is a calling. HR practice is a calling. It's just like the calling of a pastor. Secondly, for us to know that it requires dedicated effort to develop and grow in the calling. Just as a pastor is required to study, to learn, and to build a relationship with God to get inspired and get clear message to deliver, the same thing applies to our HR professional. There is a need for the profession and the practice to be embraced as a calling for which we all will render or give account, rather. So we all will give account. And the good news is the structure for our development are well established. And that takes me to the second reference, which is the 70-20-10. Of course, for most of us, I'm sure we're familiar with that model. It speaks to how adults or professionals are developed. So, how we learn. We learn 70% of our learning comes from doing the job, having our hands on the plow. 20% comes from learning from coaches, from mentors. And only 10% comes from the classroom training, or whether it's virtual classroom or physical classroom, all the learnings we can pick as we grow in our career, as we develop in our profession. Only about 10% will come from attending courses and programs and classroom trainings. Until what we learn is put to practice and we place our hands on doing the job, there will be a void of 70% of our growth and development that would not be filled. They will only get filled. The voids will only get filled when we place our hands on doing the job. So when people talk about their professional development and they talk about all the courses and certificates that they hold, at the end of the day, if those certificates are not based on practical experience of doing the job itself, there is still a void, a 70% void in personal development that needs to be filled. And the balance of 20% comes from interacting and learning from coaches, from mentors, those who have gone the way before, ahead of us. There is the room, there is the space. About 20% of our development that will come from learning from their experiences, from their wisdom, from their guidance, from their prompting, from their challenging, from their coaching. So I think the first two important messages I want to leave with us is, one, our profession is a calling that needs focus and dedicated effort for us to grow and build and develop ourselves in. And the second message is 70% of our development will come from doing the job, 20% from learning from coaches and mentors, and 10% from learning from classrooms and other certifications. Having said that, I would like to speak to how then we can cover those three planks of 70, 20, and 10. HR profession, at the end of the day, is about behavioral competencies and functional competencies. And there are modules or dimensions in those two planks. Looking at behavioral competencies, it's about leadership behavior. It's about social skills. It's about business acumen, business skills. And for each of these three dimensions, which are soft skills, a lot can be learned from the classroom. A lot can be learned from those who are ahead of us, who are experts in those areas already, who can provide mentoring and coaching. And a lot will be learned when we apply the skills doing the job itself. I listen to people, they use big words, big terminologies. Yes, there is a language of practice, but oftentimes you will tell those who had experienced the application of those skills from those who have not. And after learning theoretically, it's always important to find opportunities to apply what we've learned and to seek feedback, coaching, mentoring, and guidance from those who have a lot of expertise in those areas where we're applying those skills. So let's take leadership, for instance. Leadership is about leadership itself, providing vision, energizing people, enabling them, and getting the vision executed, in order to bring it to life. It's also about ethical practice. In HR, when you don't have that, you've lost everything. So the very the foundation of practicing HR is about having the ability to differentiate between what is fair and what is not, what is ethical and what is not. Credibility is the currency of practice in HR. And yes, you can learn about it in the classroom. Yes, you can get a lot of learning being guided by those who are role models. The most important thing is until your hands are on the plow, until you're under the pressure and the intensity of fire of taking difficult decisions on your feet, we'll never know how well you've grown or developed in that space. You talk about social skills. Here we're talking about valuing people and developing and nurturing relationship. And relationship here that we're talking about are professional relationships that will enable you to deliver what is expected of you on the job, cross-functional, business to business, across levels, among peers, and with those who work with you as associates and enable you to deliver. So it's about building productive relationships. It's about effective communication skills. It's about having a mindset that looks at the big picture and holistically looks at the deep down involvement in the details without micromanaging. It's about being open and accommodating to have cross-cultural integration, cross-gender integration, cross-age. So diversity and inclusion, basically, it's about the ability to embrace different and diverse background of people that we work with. So social skill is about combining all those 4 sub-dimensions: valuing people and relationship, communication, mindset that looks at the organization and the business holistically, and cross-cultural integration. Then the 3rd dimension, which is the business skills. Here we're talking about business acumen, continuous improvement or transformation, analytical perspective, and so on and so forth. All of these 3, leadership, social skills, business skills, they are on the behavioral competencies. On the functional side, on the functional competency, you have 3 dimensions, 3 broad dimensions as well: organization skill, workforce management skill, and environment management skill. So on the organization side, we talk about strategic planning, workforce planning, organization design and development, and leveraging technology or digital platforms for HR effectiveness. So it's about planning, it's about organizing, it's about leveraging technology. Workforce management is about talent management. It's about employee consultation and engagement, learning and development, compensation and rewards management, performance management, diversity and inclusion. All of what we usually refer to as talent experience. So from engaging employees to managing their performance and rewarding them. And last but not the least, awareness of the environment and managing the environment that can impact the performance of the organization. things around employment legislation, things around risk management, things around global HR management for organizations that are multinational. And even if you are within the country, within Nigeria, it's also about understanding the differences across regions, differences in culture, in religion, in other factors that can affect how people are managed. Give you an example. There are parts of this country where it's prayer time, everybody will abandon the operations and go to pray. It's being aware of all those factors and integrating them into the processes and systems with which we manage the people and the organization. So the two pillars, again, reminding us, behavioral competencies and functional competencies, each of them having three broad dimensions. On the behavioral side, leadership, social, and business skills, and on the functional side, organization, workforce, environment. Now, for us to develop our career, we must, the same way we used to do it in the university when you have courses that you want to cover in year 1, year 2, year 3, before you finally graduate. In a similar fashion, we must be aware of all these pillars of competencies, broad dimensions, and the sub-dimensions, and have a plan on how we are going to experience each of those sub-dimensions or skill blocks in terms of classroom training, in terms of coaching and mentoring, and in terms of having practical hands-on experience to practice so that we become competent in each of those areas. I have met a lot of HR professionals who just move with emotion. You know, they just go with the flow. And when you ask them deep questions about the practice, then you see the gap. The gap can be in practice, the gap can be in coaching and mentoring or learning from others who are already established and could provide a lot of insights and guidance. And it could be even in classroom training and certification. So in rounding up, all of these that I have talked about are covered by various bodies, CIPM, CIPD, and SHRM, and so on. So you can get the classroom training from some of them on some of these skill blocks. You can get the coaching and mentoring from some of the frameworks and programs that they have in place. And you can get opportunity to intern, even if you are not employed in HR space. Some are employed in other areas and they're interested in HR. Some are not even employed at all. In CIPM, for instance, we get people interned for 6 months in different organizations for them to have the opportunity to practice some of these areas. And don't look at all the 6 broad skill areas as areas where you have to cover maybe in a very short period. No, you don't need to look at it that way. For some of, and that's what coaching and mentoring will do for you, to guide you on what is a reasonable time frame you should be looking at to cover each of these areas and how you can accelerate, you know, some of them, and how you can also prioritize them, because some of them are related and some of them provide more opportunity than others. I can't cover all of those in 30 minutes. Maybe in the question and answer session, I'll be able to provide more insights on those. But in summary, if you do not remember anything at all from my keynote speech, remember that this profession is a calling and it requires dedicated focus to really develop in it. And in developing, there is the 70-20-10 model of development. If classroom training is good, but it gives only about 10%, you learn a lot more by doing the job itself, where you get about 70%. And you will always need the coaches, the mentors, and they can cover the approximately 20% of your development on each of these subjects. And there are 2 pillars we've talked about, behavioral competencies and functional competencies, each of them having 3 broad dimensions And on each of the dimensions, you have the skill blocks that you can deliberately schedule how you want your career to progress and when you want to cover each one of them in classroom learning, in finding good mentors and coaches that can help you go further, and in seeking opportunity for you to truly practice what you have learned. I hope this will help in guiding how we pursue our career development in HR practice. Thank you very much, Ima. Thank you, everyone, for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adediran, for that extremely enriching session. We'd still like you to keep on your camera, sir, so that people can see you. We're about to engage you in questions and answer. Loads of questions have come.
You're muted.
I just realized I could share my screen, so why not? Let me do that.
Yes, okay. So,
all right,
fantastic. So thank you. Thank you.
And by the way,
much.
I will send the slides to
very good, because
the organizers.
Those questions have already come in. They're already asking for the slides, so I'm so happy.
I'm going to send it. I hope you can see my screen now. I don't know if you could.
We can.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, a lot of questions have come in, and I'm just going to fire away and ask you the questions as they've come in. You said some very interesting things, which I'm going to really task you on now, sir. You said on-the-job experience accounts for 70% of what an HR, a good HR manager should have. We've got a lot of young people on this platform we've got experienced people, we've got people from 0 to above 10 years experience who are part of this community. But I'd like to ask the question, you've got a young professional who hasn't been able to get into the HR profession yet, who is eager to get into the HR profession, who obviously doesn't yet have the finances to do all these certifications that we're asking them to do. And yet we require them to build these competencies. Can you give us some very practical advice as to what these young professionals can do, young people who are aspiring to be part of the HR profession? What practical steps can they take to build these competencies even when they're not in a job?
Thank you very much, Ima, for that question. My advice, and I'm sharing with you what I have shared over the years with a number of colleagues, and they've applied it, and they got some good results. First thing is, please find a mentor for your career. It will make your life easier, much easier. And the mentor will be able to answer most of your questions. That's number one. Number two, certifications are good, but don't assume it's done and dusted once you get the certification. As the 70-20-10 model, is just a kind of guidance, seek to guide us. You still need that 20%. You need the about 70%, and that's the meat of it. So don't stop at certification. And people say, oh, but how do I get the experience when I can't find a job? I'm telling you, there is a gentleman today that I always use as an example for who I talk to, and sometimes I link them with him, who I told, and this was years ago, to just walk in and volunteer to do the job. And he did. And you need, that's why you need coaches. You need to be coached on the approach, because I've seen a lot of requests. People will storm my social media platform. Oh, I just want to have a voluntary internship with you, with your company, and so on and so forth. Even the way you present it sometimes gives you away that your intent is not what you are professing. And getting involved with you could create more problems for whoever is involved. So you can volunteer. And one thing I hope to have more time to do, by the grace of God, when I hand over CIPM leadership to the next president, is to now spend more of my time to provide that mentoring for people to secure opportunities for voluntary internship. This gentleman did it, right approach. It was convincing because, offering to take voluntary internship is like going for an interview as well. So he was examined by the employer that he approached, and the employer chose to take a leap with him. And it was with them, they made it clear to him, no financial remuneration involved, we allow you to come, we'll give you a real job and so on. And he did it. By the second month, they were paying him allowances because they could see the value he was adding. And eventually they offered him a job. After that, he moved on in his career elsewhere and he was able to find his feet. I'm not saying this works for everybody, especially now that things are even more challenging. But people will still benefit from it if the approach is right. And oftentimes what I see is a big gap in the approach. Big gap in the approach in the sense that, are you approaching the right organization? I mean, you go to Shell, you tell them you want to do voluntary internship. I mean, you miss it already. There are businesses that you can reach the owners easily. I'm talking of the owners of the business. Don't say one-man business is bad. Not all one-man businesses are bad. What you are looking for at the end of the day is an opportunity to get that 70%. So if you walk in there, you can easily meet the owner of the business. You've done your research as to what they are doing, where they are adding value, where you believe you can really add or contribute to the value addition of the business, and you present that to the owner. And you show the owner you've done the bit on the 10%. It's not that they will start teaching you everything. You're not a novice. You show the owner that you have a mentor that has been guiding you and so on and so forth. You are well guided already. And what you're looking for is the opportunity for the 70%. You add value to them and you are able to learn as well. Honestly, it will work. Maybe not 100%, but at least most of the time. So get yourself a mentor who will guide you appropriately in getting the 10%, getting the 20%, and then approaching the right organizations where you can get the remaining 70%.
Thank you so much for that. Those wonderful, powerful insights. I'd like to move on to the next question. We have Shrm, we have HR, CI, we have CIPD, and then of course we have so many other qualifications that are out there, and this is what this program is all about. So many different people are going to come on and talk about the different routes into HR. I'd like to ask for you to explain in detail what the role of the CIPM is, and which is the most pertinent degree. So we get this question all the time. Which one should I really be doing? Should I do CIPM? Should I see Mr. Wale smiling? And I'm sorry to put you in such a corner, but we must answer this question. It keeps coming up in this community. Which one should I do? Should I do Shrm? Should I do HRCI? Should I do CIPM? So, sir, we have our Oga, our number one Oga on the platform today. We're so happy to have you, sir. We would like you to tackle this question and provide more insight to this community about this very thorny area.
Thank you, Ima. People ask me that question as well. And the answer I always give to them is, it depends on what you want. What do you want to achieve? So are you looking for a certification to get a job? Are you looking for a certification to begin to build your competency, build your capability as a professional? So are you looking at that systemic building process of 10, 20, 70? And where do you intend to work? If it is about building, of course, let's face it, it's about building our qualification to be better positioned to get a job. So it depends on where you want to work. if you are planning to work in Nigeria, my advice is always go for CIPM. If you're planning to go and work in the US, go to Shrm. If you're planning to go and work in the UK, go to CIPD. And it's about which one first. It doesn't stop you from getting the other one later. But if you're looking for a job in Nigeria, if you scan through most of the reputable organizations that recruit HR practitioners, most of them will be asking you for CIPM. Some of them will go with whether it's CIPM or CIPD or SHRM. But I can tell you for free that by the time we are done with the standard of practice that we are rolling out, I was with the Minister of Labor and Employment during this past week. By the time we are done with the standards, you will need it as a requirement. It's like a medical practitioner practicing in Nigeria. You're not going to present the UK Medical Council's certification to work in Nigeria, to be licensed to operate in Nigeria. The same thing is going to is applying in HR practice. You will need practice license that will have to come from Nigeria. Even if you have CIPD or chartered in India or elsewhere, you will still have to go through the conversion program here, just like people go through conversion program when they need to practice in Canada or UK or US. So my advice to people is always, what do you want to use it for? If it's about job, where do you want to work? If it's Nigeria, go for CIPM. It doesn't stop you from going for the other ones once you get CIPM. But my advice is, and there is a benefit in doing that. Look, you understand the local nuances. There is a language of practice, and there are issues that are peculiar, especially when it comes to employment laws and labor practice. Yeah, we derive most of our statutes from the UK legal framework, but a lot has changed over time that reflects more of what we have here than what you have elsewhere. And there are things that apply in the US that will not apply here. So if you are planning to build your career here, go for CIPM. In fact, over time, no one can practice in Nigeria. You want to practice HR, you have to have the CIPM license, which is based on the competency.
Sorry, Mr. Adediran, we lost you there. I think we've lost Mr. Adediran. We've lost Mr. Adediran. Hello, sir, can you hear us? Hello, sir, can you hear us? Wow, we've heard a lot of wonderful things so far. While we're waiting for Mr. Adediran to come back on the line, I'm sure that, like me, you've been, thoroughly educated about so many things in HR. Mr. Adediran has been able to share with us about, what he feels about the human resource. I mean, this has been an amazing masterclass on professional development in human resources. And one of the things that I've gotten from Mr. Adediran's presentation is the fact that you've got to focus a lot on building your competencies in HR. All right, so it's not just about the certifications, as he said. Once you do the certifications, once you get the opportunity to do the certifications and you've done them, you shouldn't think that those certifications mean that everything is done and dusted and makes you ready to practice fully within the human resources profession. What Mr. Adediran has pointed out to us is the importance of building these skills, developing ourselves. And I think another thing that I've taken from Mr. Adediran's presentation so far is the fact that it is important. Mr. Adediran is back now. Can you hear us, sir?
Apology for that break in transmission.
No problem, sir. No problem, sir. Please go on right ahead. Go right ahead.
So I don't know where I lost the link, but what I said is, depending on what you want to do with it, if you want to work with it here in Nigeria, go for CIPM. You want to work in UK, go for CIPD first. You want to work in US, go for SHRM first. At the end of the day, there will be practice license, just like a medical doctor cannot practice in Nigeria without a license from Medical Council. And if you have license from elsewhere, you still have to do the conversion program. The same thing will apply to HR practitioners. We were with the Labor and Employment Minister during the week. We are working on rolling out our practice standards, and you will need licensing to practice HR in Nigeria from CIPR.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, sir. Very political answer, but we're very delighted, about that answer. I mean, what you're saying to us is that there must be some regulation, there must be some oversight, and there must be a body that is governing that. But despite the fact that we have so many different professional qualifications, there must be that one body that, the government can hold, to account for the growth and development of professionals in Nigeria. That's very fantastic. Now, there's a question that has come up, and it constantly comes up in this group as well, and this is, again, why I'm putting it to you. A lot of people want to know about how to move from being a generalist to becoming a specialist. And, some people also want to know whether it's better to remain a generalist or to become a specialist. So that always comes up. Should I remain a generalist, or should I go into specialization? Which one will stand me well in my career, and how will that help me to advance in the human resources profession?
Let me be very blunt about it. You cannot be a generalist if you have not at least acquired some specialist competencies. Wow. The network is not cooperating.
We can actually hear you, sir.
You can hear me now.
We can hear you, sir.
If you do not have, you cannot be a generalist if you do not have some specialist competencies. So the starting point actually is for every one of us. Nobody starts HR career at executive level. Some do in the past, but it's no longer fashionable, because the gaps will be seen by the team that you're not able to add value to them. So HR career will be built on 4 bands. The first band is when you are accountable for a value process. And then you move to the second band, where you supervise a couple or more of value processes. And then you move to the third band, where you become a strategic leader of broad dimensions in HR. Like, some of those blocks that we've talked about. There are value processes around talent sourcing, value processes around rewards, value processes around performance management. You become the strategic leader over those. All of this is still talking about specialist roles. Then when you now talk about generalist roles, okay, we're talking about people that are partnering with businesses, depending on the size of the business. So for businesses that are not big, you can afford to be a generalist without so much depth in specialist competencies. But a quality and top-notch generalist is one that had at least up to the second band of experience in those specialist areas, at least some of them. And then you can lean on the center of excellence for the others where you do not have so much experience. So what people refer to as generalist HR oftentimes is, look, small organizations, 50 employees, the man is just thrown into the water to sink or swim. And those are the people you see on different platforms. They'll be asking for, does anybody have a template for this? It shouldn't be heard of. You have to study to show yourself approved, a professional that need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of HR truth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very, very, very much. Somebody's just popped a question in the chat room that is very interesting. The person says, and this comes up to a lot, I have the certifications, I've done the certifications, but I don't have the experience. I'm trying to apply for jobs. I can't get the jobs because I don't have the experience. And every time the HR recruiters see me, they put my CV aside. What practical steps advice can you give to that person who's asking this question to move his career, you know, the HR?
By the grace of God, I'm looking forward to starting my, it's not NGO really, it's professional support program, where even those that we cannot get internship for will be given daily practical issues, actual real issues that will ask them to solve. And they will solve it and learn. So it will be like they have their hands on. And as much as possible, where we can get opportunity for them to be part of the process itself, you know, even if they are not taking in as interns, just to be part of it and gain the experience, we will do what we can. Again, it's about getting internship, voluntary, you know, let me help you. Let me support your business. I can do this. This is my certification in this particular area. And like I have said, if you go to a flour mills, they will tell you we are structured, our positions are filled. But if you go to Wale Adediran & Co, Nigerian Limited, and you tell him, Oga, you have employed 20 people. Look, you can do things better than this. And I will support you for free for the next 3 months for you to see the impact I can make. That is how you go about it. Okay, I can't get your audio, but
thank you so much. I'm
back
on audio now. Thank you so much. There's one question that has come up, and you know, especially since we're talking about the role of CIPM. You know, I really want us to. We have you here. You are Oga. You are the one that we look up to guide us. You know, and I just wanted to ask you this question. A lot of questions have been coming up about labor issues. And about the fact that a number of people feel that the rights of employees are trampled, you know, in the workplace environment. And some people want, you know, some input from you about what the CIPM is doing in terms of upholding the rights of employees in the workplace environment and how that is translating into legislation. Because when you look at the labor law in Nigeria and you compare the labor law to other laws, even in smaller countries like Liberia or Sierra Leone, when you look at the labor laws of Sierra Leone and Liberia, you're like, what is going on in Nigeria that is supposed to be the giants of Africa? So what is the role of the CIPM in, you know, just, you know, upholding the rights of employees and, you know, just making sure that we have some updates to our labor laws, which are highly archaic.
Thank you. Thank you. I mentioned earlier on that myself and my leadership team, we were in the office of the Minister of Labor and Employment on Wednesday, this week that just ended. And again, he was with us on Thursday. And one of the concessions he granted us is for CIPM to be part of the validation phase of the new draft of labor law that is being prepared by the executives to be presented to the National Assembly. That's a breakthrough for us.
Fantastic.
I mean, for him to listen and to allow us to be a major stakeholder in that process. Recall that we started the advocacy for the review of the law by collecting 1 million signatures. That's one. So we're dealing with the labor law. Secondly, for the rights of the employees not to be trampled upon, it starts with having a solid standard of practice of HR in the country. And that work is ongoing as I speak with you. We're getting to the end of it gradually. We have the 4 major consulting giants working with us. We have major HR leaders in the country working with us on that. That team is led by our CEO, and we're almost done with the definition of the standards, which eventually will be linked to who we license and who we don't. And then the disciplinary process, our ethics committee is active and up and running. Is for us to create more awareness for people to know that if they feel that an HR practitioner are trampled upon their rights, they can take their case to CIPM and to our ethics committee. Of course, such practitioners will be investigated, and if found wanting, will be sanctioned professionally. We have the power by law to remove such names from our register or apply any other sanction as the committee may deem fit. In addition to all of that, we are already working on what to do with recruiters. There's a story going around now about a lady that went for a job interview and was murdered. So we're looking at putting an end to all common affairs that we see now. Everybody putting up advert, taking a piece of white chalk and writing on the wall, cooks needed, and so on and so forth. So all of that will be cleaned up by the special grace of God over the next couple of months. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. I mean, there's still so many questions that I think what is going to happen, sir, since we have been able to get you to come here, you know, now you're an honorable member of this community. You are now our honorable chairman. So we're going to definitely contact you, sir, and have a special, just a session for you.
No problem at all.
So I hope, sir, that you would oblige us when we come. We're really serious, sir, and we'll just have—
No problem at all.
Yes, a thought leadership session with you, sir, because there's so many things that have come up, so many unanswered questions, limited time because the other speakers we invited today. So on behalf of the TCN Human Resources Professional Community, and on behalf of the entire Covenant Nation Church, I would like to thank you so much, sir, for giving your time. You have invested so much time today in talking with us, in teaching people how to upgrade themselves. You've given so much valuable insight, so many valuable insights, so many valuable bits of advice. We'd like to thank you so much. We appreciate you for this, and we look forward to having you again in the community. And thank you once again. Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you so much, Ima, for having me. It's a privilege to be here. I'm not surprised at the good work you guys are doing. My colleagues in the office who are members of your network, at least 3 of them, do a fantastic job, Bumi, Kemi, and so on and so forth. Thank you, guys. God bless you. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
We look forward to having you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Over to you, Angel.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for that. So the next speaker we'll be having is Mr. Ajibola Bamidele. My colleague Nebechi would be reading out his profile. Over to you now, Nebechi.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Angel. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen with everyone. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Let's kindly welcome Mr. Ajibola Bamidele. Mr. Ajibola Bamidele is the group managing partner with CEED Academy, country manager with Certificate Edge, and the president founder of the Maverick Leadership Center, a not-for-profit organization. He's an astute HR professional, trainer, sales coach, and also an entrepreneur. He revolutionized HR certification in Nigeria by coaching over 1,000 practitioners in the space of 5 years to earn one of HR Certification Institute's global badge. A rigorous entrepreneur with strong grit, passionate for human change and transformation, Mr. Bamidele is also an author of 2 books, Thrive or Die and Sell or You Are Sold, and a consultant to several startups. He organizes and coordinates training programs, both in company and public as well. He also organizes a monthly professional training for executives from different industries in Nigeria and annually in the United States of America. Mr. Ajibola is a project management professional, agile certified professional, risk management professional, certified business analyst, certified HR practitioner with the Human Resources Certification Institute, and a senior certified practitioner with a senior certified professional with Society of Human Resources Management. He is an associate member with Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, Nigeria, Nigerian Institute of Management, National Institute of Marketing, and Institute of Chartered Economists of Nigeria, and the Nigerian Institute of Purchasing and Supply. He has a master's degree in managerial psychology from the University of Ibadan and is also an alumnus of the Haggai Leadership Institute. So can we please give a warm welcome to Mr. Ajibola Bamidele. He's a well-versed professional and he's the right person to take us on the next topic that we'll be handling. Welcome, sir. Hello, sir.
Nebechi, he just needs to unmute his mic. Mr. Bamidele, can you unmute your mic, please, sir? Sir, can you unmute your mic? Please unmute your mic, sir.
Okay, good. So
yes, I think he can do that now. Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, I can. I can see now. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for the privilege to allow me to talk to the professionals here. Now, my name is Ajibola Bamidele, and thanks for that introduction. I guess you can hear me clearly, or should I increase my voice? Can you hear me well? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Excellent. Okay, it's been a wonderful time since while the president was talking, I've been around for a while. So I will run through what I need to talk about in the next 20 minutes and take some questions. And I'm going to talk about professional development, a better understanding. So most times when I talk about this topic, I'm so passionate about talking about professional growth because I'm an advocate that the more you learn, there's more to learn. So most times I'm really very deliberate about professional growth. And I will start by talking about one of my best quotes. I love this so well, that the goal of life isn't to be perfect. Because no matter what we do, we never get to a point that we feel we all know everything. So what the goal of life is that progressively we should be less stupid, because there's a particular area of life that you're still trying to develop, you're still trying to grow, you're still trying to become better. Now, not knowing that area expresses a level of stupidity. So when I talk to professionals, the first thing I ask them is that, which area of competency are you working on now? You know, most times people just feel the longer I stay on the job, the more I grow. Now, it's possible because in the last couple of 15 years, I've been into coaching the professionals across diverse industry. And I realized that most times your exposure is also limited to maybe the business challenges that your current organization is facing. So you might be in HR for 20 years and you assume you know everything because the kind of organization you're working with, the kind of challenges that have been exposed to, be it not related to, should I say, probably the kind of challenges they are exposed to is limited. So when it comes to HR or when it comes to professional development, I believe that every human, every professional that has a professional goal should ultimately develop. So it's so easy to motivate someone that has a professional goal to embark on professional development. Because without professional development, you cannot attain your goals. It's just like whatever you've not eaten, you cannot give, garbage in, garbage out. So it's about, so when it comes to our career, I'm an advocate of learning. And when you talk about learning, I'm not talking about just reading. And don't forget, I don't know whether you're used to looking at Bloom's taxonomy. When it comes to learning, there are different levels of learning. So in a typical, when you interview graduates in Nigeria, probably you see that people go to school, they only know. And some people don't even, they're not able to apply what they know. So it's possible that you know. And that's why something about certification is also, it's possible that you know, but you cannot apply. So that means at the lowest level of mastery of competence, when it comes to learning is knowledge. And most times, knowledge is what we get when we do professional courses and all. But we need to take it further towards the second level and the third level. And some of these professional courses, they also prepare you to that level of application. But that's just the third level of learning. We still have people that move to analysis, being able to practice conceptual thinking in what they know, being able to bring a lot of things together. And also they move away from there and they get to synthesis, being able to now say, come on, I'm an authority in this thing. So it's possible that you study economics or you study HR, and that's what it ends. That's why it's possible you went through the university, you studied HR, and you cannot still apply it. So when it comes to professional development, I'll be sharing more of a better understanding, a different perspective from all we've learned so far. So here I put here that success in career is a byproduct of continuous identification of competency gap. You know, most of the time when I train leaders, I ask this question: which competency area do you think you should be working on now? You know, as HR professionals, we must be able to identify. And it also depends on where you want to get to in the profession. You know, because there's no time you will not have one competency, one knowledge gap, one skill gap they are trying to work on. And you not knowing that gap is also a problem. You know, I've engaged a lot of people, say I'm working on myself. I said, yourself, we're made up of different compartments. So which area are you working on yourself? So when people come and say, you know, I want to do a course, then the next thing I ask them is that, what's your goal? What exactly do you want to work on? Because that also will help to know what problems are you facing currently in your career that you're seeking a knowledge help to bridge that gap. So success in your career is about byproduct of continuous competency gaps, identifying them, and being deliberate in bridging that gap. Now, most times I also believe that competency does not just grow. It must be something you've itemized and you're working on every day. Now, when you look at this, I said development is a deliberate activity. It's not something, it's something that you're working on every day, something you're working on every day. So when you look at HR and you look at the space of diverse certification, and we have PHRI, PHRS, PHRI, SHRM, SCP, and all of this certification feeds you with diverse kind of knowledge and competence. So it now depends on what you want. Now, when you come, when the person was talking about, should I say, some certifications design, CIPM, excellent for Nigeria, but there's something I also want to chip in to you, is to, when you look at SP, all these global certificates, there are some that are not designed to take you on local laws in other countries. Okay, there are so many American certifications that you will not learn anything American laws. That is currently best practices all over the world being selected in it. So you will not even learn about, it's about how to practice what you do well, which can be applied either on your job in Nigeria, either your job in UK, either your job or anything. So when you get to those nations, you are meant to now take the labor law in that nation, but you've learned about the general HR practice that you can apply anywhere you find yourself in the world. So when you don't have a competency gap, you're working up a time, I said, it is an evidence that you are not serious. So if we want to move into HR, or probably you want to go into HR, the next thing is, which competency area are you interested in? And I'm going to, later on, I'm going to be talking about all these certifications and what each of them can do for you, and which kind of competency, when you learn this particular one, this is what you're going to be exposed to. When you do this, this is what you do, and all of those certifications, I will be able to help you shed more light to see what you get when you learn each of them. So when you don't have a gap, it's all good. So without professional goals, there is no professional development. And I said, how do I start my professional development journey in HR? So I'm going to be talking about different certifications and what you can do that can help you in grooming yourself in HR. But before I move on, I love this model a lot. And most times I recommend this model for anybody going to any profession. The first thing you need to do is to obey the Shoari model. It's one of the best Japanese model being run majorly by Toyota. And you can see the Shoari model opens us up to whenever you're going to any profession, you want to know, cross all the T's and dot all the I's. Don't forget, there's nothing you learn that is not going to be needed. Because I told someone that number one, my boss told me years ago, he said, the day you know there's a need to learn something, then it's too late to learn it. So we learn when even there's no need, since you know that, okay, this competency is all what you want to build on. So let's look at the shoe. The shoe talks about whenever you want to do it. And I'll give you a scenario. Somebody is joining an organization. The first thing you join a new profession, or you're going to university, the first thing they do for us is in the first 4 years is to teach us the rules. You know, and I guess till you get to MSc, you learn the rules of that profession. But at some point, you move to PhD, whereby they're trying to make you research and come up with more knowledge. Fine, you've learned it, then you have to go and now learn more, break out from whatever you've learned so far. And that's why people do a lot of projects, do literature review, get to a point and say, based on this is what I want to do. So now that's the second level when it comes to shoe. Now you've mastered the rules, you follow the rules, you know the fundamentals. Now, you not knowing the fundamentals is even wrong. And one of the things that pushed me to through professional development is knowing the fundamentals of almost all professions. You know, and I also believe as HR, our career development is not totally HR. Because the things we're trying to do, we're trying to partner with the business. So if you're going to partner with the business, and there's this course I used to take, HR as a CEO, and you want to have a seat at the table, so whatever is on the CEO's mind, you must understand it. So whenever there's a gap between how the CEO thinks and how you think as an HR, there's very, very likely you will not be brought to the table. And that's why most HR campaign, HR should be brought to the table, HR should be brought to the table. The table is not for people that just want to just sit down, to just take notes and say whenever they're talking about HR-related roles, they know what it is. What they're doing at the table is that they're solving business problems, and without knowing the fundamentals of those things required at the table. Because you see, there's a capability required to do your HR practice well to get to the top. But by the time you get to the top, the things you will need is to provide solutions to the business. And that's why you want to also open up your learning beyond core talent acquisition, talent management, employee engagement, employment laws. You want to talk about things that market part of the business. You want to learn on how to provide solutions to business problems. You want to know how to identify business problems, do competitive analysis, do preferred solutions, do learn about evaluation techniques to make sure you can recommend a lot to CEOs. That's the only way you can be given a seat at the table. So the more we grow in human resources and you get to the top, then the more you need to increase your learning. So there's no point you stop learning. So the first level is shoe. The second level is art, whereby you're trying to break the rules. Now you know the rules, you can break the rules. So I hate talking to someone that don't know the rules. You know, when you engage in an argument with people and people tell you, this is what I know, then the very first thing I ask the person is, this is what you know, where do you get it from? He said, yes, my experience. No. You see, you need to connect your experience to fundamental knowledge. Nobody stands in the holo. You see, nobody stands and woke up one day and became an authority. Everybody that's a doctor, that's a professor, you have a background in knowledge. So you must first say, oh, cross the T's and dot the I's and say, I know these things. Then, because I know this is what now is my breaking the rule. Then the next one is you making rules. Now, I will not follow someone that is making rules without having to follow the rules. You must first follow rules before you can break rules, before you can make rules. So when it comes to professional development, until you get to the point of making rules, But you can't just jump to making rules without following the rules. And those rules is what have been given, put into all diverse certifications. So you must follow the rules, then you might break the rules. So I'm not an advocate of total, because that's the lowest level when you only follow rules. At some point, you need to tailor what you know to your current realities. And sometimes your current realities might require that you should break the rules. So at that point in time, it won't be that you don't know. So a medical doctor will go to school for to learn. And now when they now start practicing, they now start looking for ways to tweak that learning. And that's why they have different levels of expertise. Even when they went to the same school, but they have different levels of competence, those medical doctors. So they all follow the rules first, then they now started breaking the rules and now making rules. And that's why you get to a point that you get to a professor level in your career, whereby you can now start breaking the rules. So here I says success is a function of what you know in your career, but also the behaviors you engage in. So it's not about you knowing. Some people say success is knowledge is not power. It's the application of knowledge that is power. So even when you know, if you don't know how to apply the things you know, it won't work for you. So it won't be power. So when it comes to success, you must be able to also apply what you know to solve your own problems. When you don't upskill, you kill your organization. So upskilling, professional growth is not a choice. Some people say the day you stop learning is the day you start dying. You don't even know how much you don't know until you meet people that are growing. So you might actually dwell in arrogance, professional arrogance, thinking as if you know and you don't know. That's also a sad news. For you not to know that you know, for you not to know that you don't know, for you not to know that you know, for you not to know that you don't know. There are 4 cases. For you to know that you know, for you to know that you don't know, for you not to know that you know, for you not to know that you don't know. So when it comes to professional growth, we must always be in that state of, I know that I don't know. Always open to learn, always open to new knowledge. I know something, there's nothing lost, no matter what you learn. It will be useful for you at some point. So professional development is the expression of faith. So when I meet people that don't like professional growth, it's only Nigeria that I know that people can survive being in HR for 10, 15, 20 years, and you've not actually deliberately gone through professional development. I've seen a lot of people that said, well, I've been there, I don't like learning. I see people in HR that will tell you that they don't like learning. They don't like, I don't like the stress of learning. And it's because sometimes in our environment tolerates illiteracy. I remember many years ago when I started writing book, I wrote my first book in 2005. I wrote Thrive or Die. You see the attitude that we have around. That's why some people said, if you want to keep something from the Black man, you should put it in the pages of the book. Because a Black man will never want to learn. Even when you give him solutions in a book, he will tell you that it's not about book. It's about just tell me, because they don't want to engage their mind. So professional development is an expression of faith and mental readiness to receive God's visitation in your area of work. So you can't tell me that one day you are still at the 3rd level of your HR competence, and one day you want to be an HR director, or one day you want to be a COO, you want to move into the business, or you want to be a CEO of your enterprise, and you want to transition from HR to being a COO or CEO, and you're saying that you are not preparing yourself. So when you develop yourself, it's an expression that you have faith. Honestly, when people don't develop themselves, it's also an expression there's nothing they're preparing for. And God even knows that they don't have faith. Because when you're getting ready, there's this scripture that says, I understood all these things through the study of books. And it said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of the times. So if you are not knowing, and you're not increasing in wisdom, your times will not be stable. Especially in the VUCA world that things are changing at a second pace. You cannot rely on old knowledge. So you must continually upskill yourself, develop yourself, and make yourself better. Actually, this is an expression of faith that you actually believe in God and you believe that God will meet you. Okay, several certifications that different professional bodies offer that I'll just run through. PHRI takes you on the basic operational HR. You know, that's where you learn talent acquisition. That's where you learn about talent management. That's where you learn about employee engagement, employee relations. That's where you're going to learn about general OD, organizational development, change management. That's where you're going to learn about safety and workplace safety. That's where you're going to learn about HRIS, you know, human resource information system. But when you move away from PHRI, SPHRI is basically meant to upskill you and make you a bit tweak into the business. So you learn something about how the HR must be able to think the way the CEO thinks, the gap between the CEO. And that's when you learn whereby if a business is not making profit, the person that you should go and meet is HR. Don't forget that if a club is losing, it's the coach that brought everybody there that people blame. So if a business is not doing well, that's why HR starts understanding. SPHRI gives HR that understanding that our role goes beyond sending mails to employees, hiring employees, training employees, to making sure whatever we do must always be driven by the business goal of our organization. This way you learn the contextual framework of HR, making you know that there's no one size, one answer to HR. It depends on the business that you're partnering with, and that's what SPHRI will do for you. When you look at GPHR assumes that you have an understanding of basic PHRI, basic SP, you know about the business, but now your company is expanding out of the shores of your country. Either you are in America, you are expanding to China, or you are in Nigeria, you're expanding to Ghana. Whatever you are doing at that point, now the GPHR will now expose you that there's a difference between HR practice in your local environment, and there's a difference between when you're practicing HR and you're coordinating cross-cultural teams. Teams from China, everybody reporting to you. How will you? Let's take it for example. You shake people in Nigeria, but now you have about 7 teams from different countries are reporting to you. How do you manage cultural context? How do you manage to practice HR whereby diverse laws, and you must, you must tailor your HR to HR practice to different laws and still try to align with the own country laws. So that's what you learn when you do your GPHR. And you learn something on SHRM SCP, which I tell people is one of the most robust HR certification because it cuts across the content of PHRI, the content of SPHRI, and the content of GPHR. It's very robust. That's SHRM SCP. Now, if you're an HR professional that is thinking, probably look at what happened to us last year, COVID issue, people have to start learning about agile HR, learning how to become more nimble. So when you want to learn a bit of agile practice and how to position yourself for the agile environment, how to respond, how to develop agile structures, then you want to do the PMI ACP, which is about agile, basically. And when you want to do the CBAB is about business analysis. And basically, as HR, as we get to the top, our goals is to be able to identify business problems. Like most times I say, if you cannot identify problems in your organization, it means you are also a problem to them. So it teaches you how to identify business problem and also being able to solve those problems. So most times it helps you, broadens your mind on how to always meet the needs of the executive in identifying business problems and preferring relevant solutions and helping your organization not to waste money in unfruitful projects. And basically that's what this competence is that this certification will do for you. It now depends on your goal at this time in your career. Which one do you really want to go for? Which learning do you want to take on? And that will now determine what to do. Thank you. I can take questions now. I guess I've exhausted my time. I'd like to take questions. Then.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for that very informative session. Thank you for that very informative session. I just have a couple of questions that a couple of people have asked. And so the first one we have here is, what are the best qualifications to get when you're seeking to migrate to Canada, USA, etc.?
Now, in my current, should I say, people that have been going to Canada and all that, you see, the SHRM, SCP, most times when you get those certifications, SHRM, SCP, HRI, you now still could do some conversion when you get there to maybe CPHR and all, so when you get to Canada. So that's why I recommend more of SHRM, SCP, and also CBAP, that's Certified Business Analyst Professional. If you want to go to Canada, if that's your destination, then you should do CBAP and SHRM, SCP.
Okay, thank you very much. So is it useful to get non-HR qualifications like Scrum, Six Sigma, etc.?
Yeah, it helps the HR to build horizontally, because the problems because it exposes to a lot of things since you are partnering with the business. So the Six Sigma, the project management, the business analysis helps you open up your mind to process, understand them processes, understand how to deploy quality processes, and also how to provide business solutions. So definitely, I advise HR to be more in their learning. We should not be too, should I say, HR focused. At some point, when you get the fundamentals, you need all those diverse certifications. It helps your thinking. It helps your know-how. Even helps you relate very well across different functions, especially in this technological age. HR learning agile, learning business analysis, learning how to Six Sigma will help you communicate more, especially when you work in an IT-driven environment and this vocabulary for yourself.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay. So one last question. What certificates can one easily get online?
Online, when you say easily, what do you mean by easily? Because the word easily.
Okay. So I believe my understanding of this is the person is not looking for certifications that are quite expensive, but they are affordable that the person can get and add it to their HR profile.
Okay.
That would also help them in their job.
Okay, all the certifications, none of them is more than $600. So I don't see any certification that is.
Could you repeat that again?
I said none of them is more than $600. Some are $300, some are $400, some are. So I don't see any one of them that is. So I don't know the context of what the person called as cheap, because $400 is just about, I don't know, just maybe 180 something thousand naira. So I feel there's none of them that is very, very expensive that you cannot, unless that person does not want to invest anything in learning, just want to do something, then the person can go for LinkedIn learning and all that to just learn. But if you want a certification, at least you should be able to invest $300, $350, $400 into your learning.
Okay, a follow-up question to that. So if someone wants to do get their certifications through your organization, is there any discounts for anybody from this group?
From this group, yeah, definitely will extend discount to people from this group.
Okay, so they should just get in touch with us and we can forward their names to you.
Yeah, yes, immediately I will discuss with Angel, talk about discount for this group, then we extend. So Ron, they are from this group. I guess then we can give the little discount to them.
Okay, no problem. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much. So I know we're quickly out of time, but I just want to ask one more question quickly before I hand over to the next anchor. What are the most relevant qualifications to get within the post-COVID-19 environment, which has changed the future of work forever? In your opinion?
In my opinion, and in my experience, I feel you should do ACP, SHRM, SCP, and CBAP. Those are the three I recommend for you. The SHRM, SCP is very good. The CBAP is very good. And the Agile is very good. That's the ACP, PMI ACP, the CBAP, that's Certified Business Analyst, and also the SHRM SCP will help you post-COVID.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful and very insightful session. I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Angel, to introduce, I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Nonso, to introduce the next speaker.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Nebechi. Okay, so I would be introducing our next speaker. So I will just share my screen. Okay, so our next speaker is Adora Ekuemesi. Adora is a talented and multi-skilled professional with experience spanning the IT, telecoms, and consulting industries. She has tested competencies in the areas of strategic HR management, change management, and business process improvement. Adora has a master's degree in Management Information Systems from Cranfield University, UK, a bachelor's degree in economics from the University of Reading, UK, and a diploma in psychology from Middlesex University, also in the UK. She is a certified assessor and trainer on behavioral profiling. She is an active member of the Society for Human Resource Management USA and an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management. She is also a certified Prince 2 project manager. Prior to joining Kendor, she headed HR transformation at Transnational Corporation PLC, where her primary focus was on aligning human capital with organizational strategy. Prior to joining Transcorp, she headed the Human Capital Group of Interswitch Limited, where she was responsible for developing and executing the group's HR strategy and embarked on several development projects, notably the design and implementation of a competency-based performance management system. Her consulting experience spanned several years at Philips Consulting, where she led process improvement teams as part of several restructuring projects. Other areas of focus included strategic alignment, change management, human capital development, and team building. Her telecoms experience extends several years working for Nokia UK as a design engineer. Adora has written several published articles for a number of national newspapers. She enjoys creative writing, reading, computers, speaking, and counseling. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Adora Ekuemesi. Hello, Adora. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here this evening, I would say. Good evening, everyone. And I just want to start with, first of all, a testimony, because the devil is indeed a liar. He was trying to prevent me from being at this session this evening. You know, I was supposed to be at the slot before. For the first time ever, I couldn't imagine me that constantly speaks. I couldn't even log into my laptop. I'm like, no way. So, hey, that's a testimony itself. No way I could have not been here. So first of all, I want to say thank you to the Covenant Nation for inviting me to speak on a topic that is so dear to me. And I know that, you know, I mean, Mr. Bamidele did some justice talking to us about certification, you know, and the thing is that as they were reading, I'm here to represent Sherm Nigeria today, even though, I mean, some of you know me, or I mean, thank you, Emma Clark, for inviting me for this session. If you know me in the HR Nigeria space, you know that I'm very active in advocating for HR generally as a career. When I was looking, you know, a lot of times when my profile is read, it just takes me down memory lane with regards to, you know, careers really, because if you listened, you would see that I am not an HR professional by original training. My first degree is actually in economics. Just like many people, to be honest, when I left school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And by the time I was 21, one, all I knew was that I didn't want to be unemployed. So I made some very interesting decisions at 21. I basically decided I wanted to make money. And that seems like a very, would I say, shallow goal, but trust me, whatever goal you choose is a goal. And when you plan, you're more likely to achieve it. So at 21, I just didn't want to be unemployed. And I remember that me and a friend, we went out. We had both planned on doing a master's. The master's I had planned on was actually in communications, because I liked writing from a very young age. I could speak. A lot of people thought I would be a lawyer. And then, both of us had decided what we were going to do. And then we went to this party. And in one corner of the party, they were talking about one girl. Well, we call ourselves girls then anyway, who was earning 70,000 pounds. My dear, the antenna in my ear just rose. I wanted to know, who's this person? What did they study? And we found out that she was in an IT career. That was how there and then, me and my friend changed our course to IT. So my master's degree is in IT, not by choice, but by plan. When you just have a plan not to be unemployed or to make money. And the truth is that when I look back at my career, it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. And I will tell you, I'll help you understand why. It seemed like a very flippant decision at the time. But one thing I will tell you is that a lot of us here, we're here because we're people who have chosen an HR career. Whether you choose a career or not, you will have a career. That's one of the first things you need to know. Whether you choose one or not. The difference is that when you choose one, at least you know the one, you make a choice for yourself. But when you don't choose a career will choose you. So whether you make a deliberate effort or not, you're going to have a career. The difference will be, would you like the career you have? So I'm happy that a lot of us here have made a conscious effort. I believe that we have chosen HR. And if we haven't, then maybe we're considering it. That's why we're here. So what I have to, tell us is that if you have made a conscious choice, first of all, kudos to you and well done, because that means any other career will not choose you because you made a conscious choice. But you know what? Since you've made a choice, why be mediocre? Why play small? If you can be the best you can be with regards to the choice you make, why be mediocre? Why play small? I don't believe it. I believe in being intentional about whatever it is that you do. So if you're going to choose this path, then please be the best that you can ever be. Now, why am I saying this? I started my degree in HR, not like conventional. Remember, like the first 5 years of my career were actually in IT. And like some of us here, because I know that there's different, some of us got into HR by chance, and some of us got into HR by choice. Now, it doesn't matter how you get there. The most important thing is that you're there. Now, the first 5 years of my career were in IT. So please, first of all, to anybody who did not have a straightforward journey to this HR career, trust me, you have an advantage because you're much broader, you have more perspective, and you know what, variety is the spice of life, so you can bring in more to the HR career. So good for you. A lot of people think that once they don't have, a background in HR, it's working against them. The truth is that it works in your favor. Most of the best HR people I know, in my opinion, have non-HR backgrounds. So the broader your scope, the broader your, the broader your background, the more you can actually offer the profession. A lot of the criticisms of HR professionals is that they don't think, like the business. A lot of times, if you ask, business leaders or HR or MDs to critique HR, the biggest problem they will tell you would be like, oh, maybe HR is not strategic enough. They're very administrative. When you have a business focus, when you have a broader perspective, you can bring more to the table. You can do more for your organization because you think differently. And anyone who thinks differently and thinks outside the box will definitely have, more to offer. So today I will share some slides with you, but the purpose of this is to help you understand why is it important to actually certify. I got into the HR profession about 19 years ago. Let me just say approximately 20 years ago. I had an IT background. Honestly, at the time, I didn't even know there was anything like HR. So I didn't deliberately step into HR. I was interested in people. So one summer, I would call it a summer because I was already working at Philips Consulting as a consultant. I got into Philips because of my background in IT, in terms of, as they thought I had an analytical mind, so they put me in the strategy team. But I was very much interested in people. And I did some research, I went online, and then I found some courses on psychology. So I took my 1 month leave, I applied for my 1 month leave, and I found a course in the UK, a diploma in psychology. And it was a 1 month crash program, but it was, it was actually a crash program, but it was actually a diploma. And I took it. Now, when I took it, this was a very difficult thing for me. Why I'm saying this is that a lot of times when it comes to careers, people think you can just get a job and, once you're in a job, you have a career. A career is a lifelong effort in where you continuously invest your time and money to develop for the rest of your life. That's the first thing people need to understand about career. If you've not invested time and you've not invested money, you've not started being intentional about your career and you're not really looking to excel in it. A lot of people, they think there's a shortcut, but there's no shortcuts. Now, when I attended this course, remember it was a 1 month course. It was in the UK. I was I'd been like 5 years into my career. So it was a lot of money. One, I had to buy a ticket to the UK. Secondly, I had to pay for this course that was 1 month long. I'm sure it was about maybe 2 months salary worth, 2 to 3 months salary, which I was spending to go on a course. So I spent money, I went on this course. I came back to after my leave. My MD was like, you've been gone for a while. Well, this your leave must have been really fun. And I told my MD, look, I didn't go on leave. I actually went on a course. And he was like, interesting, what course did you go on? And I said, I went for a diploma in psychology. And he was like, it was a bit shocking for him because he was like, he knew me to be an IT person and at least my background was IT. And there and then I was lucky because he'd asked me to come to his office, and it just so happened that he was about to form a new team, and the team would specialize in performance in individuals and groups. And that was really how I started my HR career. And the rest was history. So, obviously I started, working in HR. A lot of times people say they think they can Google their way. Everything, you go on Google or everything. A lot of HR professionals also think that once they certify, that's the end. Certification is just the beginning. And you certify for different reasons. You certify because it's not just for yourself. You certify because you let everybody else know that a third party has actually assessed you and has accepted that you meet a certain standard. Some people say it's paper, but there are different kinds of certifications. I will tell you that if it's the Sherm certification, who I'm obviously representing here today, that certification, my dear, if you pass it, it's not something that, it's not just book, okay? The way the questions are, they're very practical, they're very application-based. So honestly, it's an exam that will change the rest of your life. So I'm just gonna spend, the rest of the minutes just talking a bit about why get certified. I'm not saying this because I'm here, but being a member of Sherm changed the trajectory of my life and my career. And I'll tell you how. After I left Philips Consulting, as a consultant, for a couple of years, I joined InterSwitch. And at the time, I was the head of HR, but I was new in HR really, if you really think about it. And I had an opportunity to attend, someone told me about this Sherm conference. This is around 2008. Obviously, 2008 is about 13 years ago. And at the time, I didn't even know what Sherm, a Society of Human Resources Management, I wasn't really sure about it. Again, I just took a leap of faith. The person told me, it would be a brilliant opportunity, attend the conference. Again, I don't know how many months salary I gathered, but I had to go to America. I had to buy a ticket, go to America, attend the conference. The price of the conference is worth, I think, about over $1,000. Had to pay for accommodation over $1,000. The truth is, at that time, I was only 30. How much was I really earning? But the bottom line was that I had to gather like 3-4 months salary. I tried to present it to my firm then. They thought it was too expensive. My day, I took my leave, gathered all the money I could gather in my bank account, and I went for this conference. And honestly, I don't know, it was like an epiphany. I mean, it was an epiphany, like a revelation. What I learned till today, my life never turned, has been the same. And it just so happens, now this is 13 years, for the last 3 years, I now sit on the board of Sherm, Nigeria. After that time, I became an active Sherm member. And then when we formed Sherm in Nigeria, I got, I was one of the trustees for the company. So in terms of that, we've been doing a lot of work to promote the HR profession in Nigeria since then. So some of you might be asking, I don't want to, because I saw that Mr. Bamidele talked a lot about Sherm. So I don't really want to come from that perspective, unless people have other questions about Sherm. Why certified? Certification is for your own lifelong development, but it's also to make, to allay people's fears that you're a true professional. I certified years after I'd been practicing, I would say about at least 7 years after I'd been practicing. And honestly, those exams, they floored me. In fact, when I took my certification exams, honestly, I was praying, because I was like, even though I had practiced for about 7 years, when I took those exams, I was like, Lord, if you want to disgrace me now, because I wasn't even sure I was going to pass. It was that hard. I said it really tested. You see, you can have 20 years experience doing the wrong thing. The number of years of your experience does not, does not give you a right or credit to say that you are a seasoned professional, because many people spend a lot of time. How did you learn? Who did you learn from? You can be carrying out wrong practices for years. But what these exams do for you is that they just set you, like they align you with best practice, so that there's no guess, or this is the way it's always been done. This is how it should be done. And that is what we should do as professionals. A lot of us may have learned the wrong way. A certification will put you right. A lot of us may, like, we love the profession. We've been doing it for years. A certification will help you determine whether really this is a vocation or something that you shouldn't even be doing in the first place. So it's not just for you, like I said, it's about time and investment. And it's not something you should do once and actually you forget. So let me see, I will just rush through slides, because like I said, I don't want to do anything that will just bring us back in terms of, I don't want to talk about knowledge that we already have. So I'm just going to go straight into the fact I talked to you about, the value of certification. Mr. Bamidele has already said this, it shows you have up-to-date, current, and relevant competencies. It also assets, you see, there's this thing I do as a professional. I keep checking myself against international job descriptions. It's a very funny habit. I even did it yesterday. I go and check jobs in the UK or the US that are very senior level or whatever level. I've been doing it from wherever level. And I check the competency requirements in terms of tools, techniques, what they're doing. I just check, because one thing I've always said, if I ever, and I have lived outside Nigeria before, but if I ever go back or go anywhere else in the world, my dear, I am moving at the same level. If you want to be determined, to determine how confident you are in your professional development, if you migrate to Canada tomorrow, will you be taking a cleaning job or will you be taking an HR officer job? If you have to go down, then that means that you are not a true professional. Because if you're a professional, your credentials should be the same everywhere. I will never, like I've said to myself, I would never have that fear of moving to another country and starting at the bottom or starting beneath, because that immediately says that you are lower in value. So as a professional, and especially now that we're in a global place, you are at par. You read the same books, you take the same certification. So why should you go lower when you're out of the country? And how do you maintain and ensure that you maintain your value and even scale higher? It's by ensuring that you're not just certified, you're knowledgeable in best practice, in global best practice, and you continuously keep yourself abreast with what is going. Certification is practical. I tell people, and I'll say it to anyone who knows me, do not bother. I think it's a waste of money to do a master's degree in HR. I'm sorry, it might seem very, very very hard line, but a professional certification will give you the opportunity to learn practical skills that you can apply to your job immediately. And I would say, do that. If you want to get a master's in anything else. Get a master's in an MBA, that would be fantastic. Do a master's in IT. That would be fantastic. Do a master's in psychology, do a master's in law, do a master's. There are just so many different areas to make you broader. You don't need to go and do a master's in HR again, unless you want to obviously have a PhD. That's a different route altogether. At least that's academic. But if you're professional, please get a broad view. Do a master's in another subject and take your professional certification. Your certification validates you to other HR professionals, to business leaders, because you've allowed yourself to be tested, by a third party. So that's the value. I mean, like I said, I'm sure we already knew the value. You already know the Sherm certifications, and I'm not going to go into it. You can go to shrm.org, shrm.org, if you want to be set. But I'll just talk a little bit about the Sherm competency model. Sherm competency model, I love it. And the reason why I say it is that because it does something more than other certifications that I've seen in HR. It has, apart from the technical areas, it has 15 technical areas. But guess what? It also has 8 behavioral competency areas that focus on how you apply your technical competencies. To be competent in something, or to be a professional, it's not just about what you know, it's about how you carry out your duties, how you carry out your responsibilities. A lot of people, especially, they are good technically, but when it comes to behavioral, Sherm covers not just the technical, it covers the behavioral. The technical is very, very important, but my dear, if you know all the technical areas, you're very good at recruitment, you understand talent acquisition left and right, you understand, performance, how to engage employees, and you don't have relationship skills, you don't have networking skills, you don't have critical data analytical skills, if you don't have the behaviors, that make you stand out, then the truth is that all your technicality might as well be thrown out of the window. So that's why I say, I particularly love the Sherm competency model, because it focuses not just on the technical, it focuses on the behavioral. Bear this in mind when you're comparing it with other competency models. It stands out, because it focuses on ethics as well. Those things that make you stand out as an HR professional, you would see them in the Sherm body of knowledge. Please, there are eligibility requirements. If you go to shrm.org, please look, you would see, to take the Sherm CP or the Sherm SHUP, you need at least, there's eligibility. If you have a bachelor's degree, if you don't have a bachelor's degree, if you have a master's degree, there's eligibility requirements. Please take your time to read it. I won't go through it because, otherwise we wouldn't have time to ask the right, answer your questions. But please, there are eligibility requirements before. And the reason being is I tell people as well, when people jump into certification, if you are new to HR, or you've never had any formal HR training, please don't jump into certification. And this is Adora's advice, because certification exams will never start you at what is HR. They won't start you at the foundation. They already believe that you already have the fundamentals, okay? So consider a basic fundamental in HR program first, because you are not going to see what is HR or describing key HR processes in any of these training. They assume that you already have some years of experience, or you've actually had some HR related experience. And that is why they won't start you at the foundation. So please, because I've seen a lot of people, they've gone for certification, preparation classes, and they are confused. They're like, man, this thing is above my head. So if you don't have any formal, you might need to take a foundation program first. Exams are twice, the testing time for the exams for the Sherm are twice a year. Like I said, all this information is available via the shrm.org website, so there are usually 2 testing windows, so, where you test. So people would typically be, taking exams around, between May and July now this year, and also between December and February. So if you're planning for the exams, but you must apply for, to take the exam, so there's a window for applications. So around, for example, this year, from January till April was the application, the deadline was just a couple of weeks ago. And then there another testing window. Once the tests are done, From June to October will be another application window. So if you want to take the exams, you've probably missed it for this year. You can take it again in between June and, you can apply again between June and October, and then you can take your exams between December and February. So these are information that you should look out for, and you should definitely. With Shrm, the best way to prepare for Shrm is using the Shrm learning system. This is the original learning system by Shrm, okay? And the Shrm learning system, it's basically 4 books. And I will, see, a lot of people, there are 4 big books, and a lot of people immediately, they scream, and I'll tell you, they scream because of the price. I think it's about $700 to $800. It's an investment, for crying out loud. It's the best way to learn. You don't read your books and you throw it away. You constantly review your books. You understand? I have these books, and for me, they're the best investment. Whenever a new edition comes, I buy them again because, I constantly refer to them. I constantly update my skills, and I constantly help people, with their HR knowledge as well. So I constantly like to update myself, and I encourage everyone, buy the books. You must have your books. You can't be a professional and then you're looking for somebody's book to borrow. You need your own book for your own library. So, I have the Sherm books here. So there are 4 of them. Remember I talked about that a part of the books and the HR competency model for Sherm is on HR behaviors. So there's one that focuses on the HR behaviors. It covers leadership, ethics, business acumen, consultation, relationship management, diversity and inclusion communication. So that's one of the books. The other books are on the technical areas. One focuses on people, which is about strategy and planning, talent acquisition, employee engagement, and those kind of things, learning, total rewards. Another one is on the organization. It focuses on structure, organizational development, workforce management, employee relations and technology. And the last one focuses on the workplace, HR in the global context, which is very relevant, diversity and inclusion, risk management, CSR, corporate social responsibility, and then, law. So those are things. The Sherm learning system is something that we must, like I say, invest in. And it's also, when you buy it, you also get the online Sherm learning system. So it's a combination. So it's not just the books, you also get the online. Online is very good because it covers test questions as well. So you can study and, do some tests. And that's the same way that you're going to be tested as well. All certifications have a 3-year certification period. And that's the fantastic thing. You don't just take the exam and run away. No, every 3 years, you have to show us that you have been developing yourself. So you must get at least 60 hours. You must reapply with 60 hours evidence of proof of 60 hours in the last 3 years in which you've been developing yourself by attending courses, by carrying out HR projects. So if not, if you don't maintain your credentials, you lose it. So it's not something you get once, which is the fantastic thing about it, because a lot of people, Nigerian people, want to get certification and they run away. No, if you're going to be a professional, then you must continuously develop yourself in that area, okay? And then, of course, you just the same way you pay for exams, you have to pay to recertify, okay? So we do have Sherm certification preparation courses. And then we also have a Sherm Nigeria membership, which is separate from the global. The Sherm Nigeria membership gives you extra support. We have webinars regularly, we have, events regularly, and we support our members. So we have discounts available for our members as well. And then we have volume discounts in case, maybe there's a couple of you that come together and want to get certified using our preparation courses. So our preparation courses are both online or in class, in class. Obviously, things have changed a bit since the COVID, but please, you can make inquiries for this. So for additional information, you can get back to me, obviously, but this is the information. We operate, the exams and the classes are done through an organization in Lagos called Skills Farm. And these are the details if you want to copy them, or you can also get more information on Sherm certification by Googling Sherm certification or just shermnigeria.org as well. But if you want to contact us in Lagos, Nigeria, then the contact details are here. And you can also have a demo, a free demo of the Sherm learning system by going to shermcertification.org/learning/demo. This will just give you a feel of the Sherm learning system. So just in case you are considering, sure, I hope I've been able to at least look. Like I said, certification is not, it's a continuous process. It's not just about you. It's also about you being active in the body that you join. If you join Sherm, if you take the exams, also you maintain the benefit of Sherm exams is that you're part of the Society of Human Resources Management. So don't just take the exams and run off. Join the network of other professionals. It's the largest one in the world, so you have the support of, the largest HR organization in the world. And, there's a growing community of us in Nigeria. You get to meet us at special events and things like that. So that is definitely something that is worth looking forward to. So I hope, I've been able to at least give you some insight in terms of choosing and deliberately building and developing your career in the HR space. Just in case you don't believe me, my Sherm books, there are 4 of them here. And these books I was telling you about, I keep referencing them. There's 4 of them, so it's not something, it's something I constantly refer to, and I encourage everyone, if you're a professional, you can't be borrowing people's books. You gotta buy your own, because you definitely need to have these as part of your toolkit there. So please, if there's any questions, I'm very, very happy to answer those questions. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
The fee for the certification,
Adora.
sorry, I was just seeing, should I answer the question? I just clicked on the chat. I saw a fee for the certification.
You can go on.
Okay, sorry. So I thought it was on the slide. So I'm just trying to go back to the page where it was on the slide, for certification. But that's the preparation. The exams, you actually have to pay obviously for the exams as well. So let's see. So this is for the certification preparation classes. I want to believe, okay. So if you look at this is 300 for early bird resignation. So this is a special pricing. Let me see. Oh, I'm just looking at this. If I find the exam fees, I think if I last checked, if it's not here, then I think I don't want to say what it is, but let's just refer to sherm.org. The prices are there for the exams. I wasn't sure. Let me not, because this one here, it says $300 for early bird registration. It sounds like the exam fee. It does actually. So I think it's about that, if I remember last. Yeah, so the exams, obviously you have to pay for the exams. You also have to pay for Sherm membership, which is about $100, like you say, $110 if you want to be a member. It's, to me, like, there's no point just taking exams and not being a member of the institute. It's like, if you're a member of any institute, you pay your membership fee, but obviously if you also want to take exams, you obviously pay for the exams as well. So it's something that is worth. And of course, so if you want the preparation training, it's 1,100 for the Sherm members. So you can join Sherm now. If you're a Sherm member, obviously that means you've paid about $100, then you get that course. So we encourage everyone to join Sherm and obviously get all the benefits of Sherm, not just come because of exam and then you're off. So when you join, be a member, get the support you need. If you want to study with us, of course, there are other ways to study. You can study, but either way, I always tell people go to different centers, they study, get your books, because I just don't believe in going to study with someone else and then use their materials. The Sherm is the Sherm books. That's where all the material is. Get the official. And I would say to everyone, work towards it. Have your own copy of your own books. Don't try to borrow anybody else. You're a professional, so you need to have yours. So it's something I would say invest in. So you must also consider the investment of the Sherm. You're going to have to get the Sherm learning system as well. People, I know it can be pricey for some people, but remember that this is a long-time investment. Your career is not something that you play around with, even though people think that they can get it easy. I mean, I heard the question on the easiest way. There's no easy way. That's the truth. Anyone who tries to tell you I can do it for you. And you see, when you're getting credentials like this, you're setting yourself apart. If everybody could do it, then obviously, then it's not something that is, it becomes commonplace. And once anything is commonplace, then you don't stand out. So we do these certifications to stand out. And unfortunately, that comes with a price. And people who invest in their careers are obviously serious about standing out. Okay. Yes, Nonso. So I think, should I look at the questions or should I in the chat? Because I'm seeing some questions. Or is somebody anchoring the questions? Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm anchoring the questions. I have some other questions that we had received via email, so I will just take some of that.
Thank you.
So, the first question, what challenges have you had growing your career in HR, and how has your SHRM certification helped you?
Like I said, I'm not sure you were here at the beginning, the SHRM, honestly, it just changed the trajectory of my whole HR career. If I didn't attend that conference in 2008, I don't think I would be where I am today. The thing is, like I said, it's just, what it did there, it catapulted my career in HR. Let's say I had one eye before I joined Sherm. I was now wearing glasses by the time I was done, because it just sets you apart. Like what I knew at that time, it was like so many people didn't know it. So the kind of projects I engaged in, the competence I had, I was way ahead, way ahead. And at that time, if I was to say in terms of, it really catapulted me. Salary-wise, I was outpriced. By the time 2010-11, I was outpriced out of in terms of peers, in terms of salary-wise. It did well for my knowledge, it did well for my earning potential. And then in the 2 years earlier than I thought I was going to start my own business, I obviously did not realize that it would actually push me out of employment fast. So that's for me, that's my own experience. But I think everybody's experience is different. It depends on what you allow to happen to you. I immersed myself in that content, and it actually worked for me in my favor. Some people just learn to pass. I didn't learn to pass. Like I said, I still see me. I mean, this is how many years later, I'm still teaching people the same material. So that's what it did for me.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, so we're running out of time, so I'll take one question from the chat box here. Someone is asking, can we get the books from the center here in Lagos by calling the numbers you had earlier displayed?
Yes, I think you can talk to them, because what we always did, I got mine from them. They always have, because they run the classes, they always have some. Even if they don't have, they order from America. So definitely.
Okay, cool. Thank you very, very much, Adora. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the insights that you have shared. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I just want to say good thank you, and I wish everybody all the best in your career. And please, if there's nothing else you remember, just remember that you must make that investment, not just in time, in money. Sometimes money might be hard to come by, but with a deliberate plan, you can actually work towards it and make it happen. If you want to set yourself apart, please make sure that you invest positively in your career. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you for this wonderful opportunity to speak to you. All right.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
So we move on. Angel, over to you, please.
Okay. Thank you, Nonso. Okay, I will be introducing the next speaker. Let me quickly just share my screen. 1 second. Okay. Dr. Yetunde Anibaba, she's a senior lecturer at LBS. Yetunde Anibaba is a management educator and organizational development professional. She teaches analysis of business problems and decision-making on full-time and executive MBA, as well as other senior executive education programs at Lagos Business School. She has designed and taught on several highly rated, short-focused seminars and custom executive programs in the school, including the yearly problem-solving and decision-making for executives and driving digital revolution. Prior to joining LBS, she occupied several positions in the information technology sector with experience in the areas of ICT and human resource management. Yetunde holds a BSc and MSc degrees in sociology, MILD, as well as PhD in management organizational behavior. She is an alumna of the University of Lagos, LBS, IESC Business School, and the Wharton School, and provides advisory services to a number of organizations. She's also a member of the Humanistic Management Network and is an ad hoc reviewer for conferences such as the Academy of Management and the Southern Management Academy. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Yetunde Anibaba. Thank you very much. Over to you now.
Thank you, Angel. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me. Always a privilege. I'm supposed to be speaking on professional development through the MBA route. As it is, I think the previous speakers, I mean, the advantage of speaking after lots of people is that they said most of what you want to say. So it's okay. So I will be taking.
Sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Anibaba. Angel, could you stop sharing your screen so that Dr. Anibaba can share hers, please? Angel, could you stop sharing your screen? Angel, could you stop? Thank you. Could you stop sharing your screen? Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Dr. Anibaba.
Okay, so I was saying that the advantage of speaking after all these people is that they've said most of what you wanted to say already, so it's good. In any case, I'll probably take the next 10 to 15 minutes and just talk through a couple of ideas around the MBA and HR professional development. Just for the sake of clarity, I'll just talk through, an overview of an MBA program, MBA and HR, perception of HR and the HR role, how can an MBA help you as an HR professional, and career opportunities of an HR professional with an MBA, and then what I would recommend, which you would see soon is similar to some of the things that have been said already. So a general overview of General Management MBA, and I'm specific about the General Management MBA because now we have MBAs with specializations, but most top schools still stick with a General Management MBA. And as I go on, you will see what I'm saying in a moment. But essentially, the idea of an MBA program was a response to the evolution of the world of work, and was really birthed after the Industrial Revolution and the realization that there is a need for reskilling for managers and business leaders and all of that. And as you can imagine, the first MBA was run by the Harvard University. Now known, well, in that particular regard, now known as the Harvard Business School. Yeah, so this, in a sense, is a background into, how the MBA came to be. It's also important to mention that perhaps the most important thing that an MBA career would give you is broadness of mind. So when I say broadness of mind, I like to say to our MBA students that people don't become CEOs, generally speaking, because of their expertise in a particular technical area. They become CEOs because of their grasp of how organizations function and how to get those organizations functioning more effectively. So in essence, an MBA gives you a broad perspective of how an organization functions. And typically in any MBA program, you talk about accounting, you'd understand business strategy, economics, the environment of business, finance, operations, and of course, HR and organizational behavior. One of the things that I've observed over the years is that when I get HR people in our MBA programs, the things they often say that, one particular one comes to mind actually, so don't let me generalize it. But one particular lady said to me once that the reason why she's on the MBA is because our MD always said to her that she didn't have a strategic mindset or a strategic orientation. And really, just simply put, you could look at a strategic orientation as just that ability to understand the business, as Adora and a couple of other people have said, right? The ability to understand the business as a whole, not just your tiny little area of expertise. That's one of the things an MBA does for you. A good MBA also strengthens your analytical skills, your analytical capabilities, your ability to break things down and understand the organization's direction and how the different roles in the organization helps to achieve the objective of the organization. In other words, it helps you build a system mindset, right? It strengthens your system thinking. So in a sense, that's generally what an MBA is about. And if you get a good MBA, then there's a chance that you'll be a hot cake in a sense, right? But that's just on a general basis. We'll narrow that down to HR in a moment. Yeah, so what is it with an MBA and HR? Just generally speaking, to get into an MBA program on for a full-time program, you'd need to have 3 years of work experience. And to get into an executive MBA program, 7+ years with managerial responsibilities and all of that. And of course, a good first degree, GMAT, GRE, depending on the school. And like I mentioned earlier, most top schools offer general management MBA certificates, but that doesn't mean that they don't offer you the opportunity to learn HR or learn organizational behavior. Rather, they just won't give you a certificate that says specialization HR or MBA HR. But there are schools today that do that. There are schools today that actually say the HR, the MBA is in leadership, the MBA is in HR or whatever it is. For the most part, like I said, many leading schools are not yet embracing that because really it almost defeats the purpose of the MBA. And that's my personal opinion. It defeats the purpose of the MBA. When you have a good grasp of the whole MBA, then perhaps in taking electives, as we do in LBS, there are certain electives that, then you can decide you want to specialize in strategy, you want to specialize in HR. And when we say specialize, that's only to the extent that you're taking electives that speak to that area. Yeah, but within the MBA program, that you do HR courses, including HRM itself and human behavior and organizations. Now, depending on the school, those names, those titles can be different. HRM is more constant than human behavior and organizations. But generally, the topics you talk about would include talent management or resourcing, performance management, compensation and benefits, succession planning, more recently, HR analytics, and of course, HR strategy, all the typical things you would expect that a well-seasoned HR person to know. Now, the difference is that if you're not doing an MBA that does specializations technically, then perhaps the depth the depth to which you will go in these areas may not be that much, but you will definitely have a good understanding of these different areas. Now, I mentioned earlier that I have had the opportunity to listen to a few people that said that they came into the MBA program because their MDs or their leaders did not think that they were strategic enough in their orientation. Truth be told, HR is still perceived as being very administrative, right? In other words, really you're pushing papers. Yeah, that's how a lot of people perceive it. And if we're going to be very honest with ourselves, HR, I mean, I'm all for the standardizations and the certifications, and they're fantastic, but HR can only move as far as the knowledge and the understanding that the organization hiring you has of that role. If they do not understand the fact that HR can be a strategic partner, it is only going to be a title. So I guess one of the challenges, not I guess, I know that one of the challenges of practitioners today, one of the challenges of the profession is today, is transiting from that perception of simply an administrative personnel management, push the files kind of role to actually being a strategic partner in truth. And I think Adora also mentioned it earlier. And forgive me, I don't remember the name of the person that spoke before Adora, but he also mentioned the fact that it was important that we understood, you know, what it is that the business is after. If you can't think like your CEO, if you can't think like your business leader, then you would understand how to connect the HR role to what it is that the organization is trying to achieve. And that's exactly what the MBA does for you, right? It helps you to see what they see and think like they think. Yeah, as if you take on a rigorous MBA program, of course. Yeah. Now, so effectively, that takes me to career opportunities for HR professionals with an MBA. Again, it depends on the stage of your career. So if you are, I would not advise an entry-level HR person to go and get an MBA. Yeah, I mean, I don't think. This, again, you can say this is my personal opinion, but it's my opinion based on experience, what I've seen and all of that. But I don't think there will be much value added except by luck. Let me backtrack a little and say just a little bit about how I even got into a little bit of HR in the first place. I used to be in IT, and within that IT space, I guess people noticed that I was very into people issues. And so at a point I was out of a job, and one of my friends in that organization had moved to another organization, and they were looking for an HR person. And my friend said, look, this is Yetunde's job. Yeah, and they invited me for an interview. They interviewed me along with other people, of course, and they decided that it was my job. So I got into HR only per chance. When I say per chance, remember what we say, that luck is what happens when preparation meets, opportunity meets preparation. So clearly it was because there were some signals in terms of my interest and the things I learned about and my ability to explain why people behaved in certain ways and how to ensure that people behave better and things like that, right? The issue, the psychology of human behavior. And I mean, those were just things that were my interest. And on that basis, right, somebody remembered and said, hey, Yetunde, come and do this. Now, I didn't stay very long there because I decided I wanted to go into the academics, and then I did the PhD in organizational behavior and human resource management. So my point is that, yes, career opportunities, we can talk about a very systematic way of, getting into HR and all of that. But the truth about the matter is that sometimes it's not that systematic. Right? Sometimes not that systematic. However, you can't remove the fact that if you're interested in something, you have to be prepared. You have to prepare for it. And while the MBA may not be your first step in preparation, my thought and my recommendation is that when you spend some years and you've garnered some experience, then you should think about getting the MBA. Right? And from that point, you would be able to, it will be easier to get opportunities around HR consulting, especially. I think Tinika is on this call. I'm sure she's a living witness, as you might say, right? But garner some experience, then do the MBA, right? That way, let me just share with you briefly also. Now, on the LBS MBA, we always have our students go for fellowships, right? Or what you might call internships, or call them fellowships. And they spend 3 months or so in between the MBA in different organizations. Now, those fellowships give them the opportunity to actually, especially when people are interested in HR, if those opportunities exist, it gives them the opportunity to garner some experience and, do something in that regard. However, what we've also found is that those that actually stay in the profession or in the career, it's easier for them to stay in it because they had prior experience. So like, I think it was Wale that said so earlier on, it's absolutely crucial that you look for opportunities to gather experience. And I know it's challenging, but even if, like you said, it's to offer yourself to do some things, pro bono, just to gain the experience and get mentoring and all of that. In any case, depending on the stage that you're in your career, make sure you have some experience before you go into the MBA, and then you have opportunities in HR consulting, HR business partner. I think one of the fundamental ways also of getting experience, especially at the entry level, is the management trainees that organizations do. The only issue is that these days, even to get a management trainee position requires some, additional knowledge and education, right? But I think for entry-level people that are interested in HR, look for management trainee positions so that when they start to determine what department people go in, it's easier to move in that direction. And of course, there is opportunity to be an academic, decide that, or a trainer on one hand, or an academic on the other. The only thing with being an academic is that then you have to go after a PhD. So that's probably not a low-hanging fruit right there. But so I guess the summary of what I'm saying is that, one, get some HR experience via internships, et al., and all that, and do an HR focused certification, and then get an MBA mid-career. I think that's pretty much what I will say right now. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Anibaba. Thank you so much for that insight. Let me just check in the chat room to see if we have any questions at the moment. Okay. There are some questions that was actually sent via email. So let me just run through a few of them and share.
I think somebody asked about the cost of an MBA in the chat box. The full-time MBA is probably about 5 million, if I remember correctly. It's 18 months long. The executive MBA is much more expensive than that, and the assumption is that the expectation is that you spent 7 years working and you're in a managerial cadre. Most of our students have spent longer than 7 years working, and they come to do the MBA because they need to now move to the next stage of their career. So it's typically about 18 months to 2 years, but average 18 months.
Okay, so someone said, is MBA gotten from the Nigerian university, let's say OAU or Unilag, relevant in practice of HR in Nigeria, or SPHRI is better?
I'm not sure how you want me to answer that question. You want me to knock? But on a more serious note, here's what I'll tell you. No MBA is the equivalent of a certification, first of all, right? No MBA, I'll be very plain and honest with you on that. No MBA is the equivalent of a certification, because I think Adora also mentioned it, that certifications give you practical hands-on skills. So when she made that statement about, as far as she's concerned, it's a waste of time getting an MS in HR, I may not call it entirely a waste of time, but I would say also that unless there's a way to prove that that thing, maybe that MSc or that, also comes along with the certification, it's probably safer to do your certifications. And then, like I said, when you want to advance in your career, because you see, the perception of an HR person that only understands HR, like I mentioned earlier, nobody's, after a certain level, they won't listen to you. I think it was somebody mentioned earlier also that that organizations, that it was in the past that organizations took people that were not HR experts into senior management. I'm not sure that is entirely true. I think that because of that issue with the perception of HR, people that have had considerable management experience and have risen to, a significant, considerable cadre in the organization tend to get pulled into the role of HR director. Now, it doesn't mean they don't know anything about HR. It does mean that they probably have a knowledge of an aspect. So for instance, a lawyer with expertise in arbitration or something like that, right, could get pulled into HR director role without having done all the typical HR certification and all of that. But because of the push from, from the professionals these days, it's helping, but the truth is that at a certain level, they would want to see that you understand the business, and that's really what an MBA does for you. Yeah. You're muted, Angela.
Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, good. So we have another question that says, what if you already have an MSc in HRMD? Does it set you apart while you work on certifications?
Set you apart to do what? That's the question. Set you apart to get hired?
Probably, yes.
Maybe, if that's the question, it probably will. It probably will. The only other thing I would add to that is that let's not fool ourselves. The HR space is not very broad. When I say not very broad, it's like you say. It's like I'm watching my words. It's not, when I say it's not very broad, it's not one of the biggest spaces. Yeah, where HR is often, in terms of percentages, the smallest number, or some of the smallest number in organizations. So there's probably more opportunity for HR in consulting, yeah, in management consulting, in training and all of that. So if you're thinking only about working in an organization, you may want to broaden your scope a little bit, yeah.
Okay. And there's this funny question. And the person says, can you assist with the difference between MBA and MSc?
The MBA is typically, when you talk about an MBA in management, again, it depends on what, an MSc management. If it's an MSc in management, MScs are more theoretical. Let me put it that way. MScs are considered as being more theoretical than an MBA. An MBA is practice-based. So for example, at the LBS, we don't just come and teach you the theories and definitions. You get to engage with them with cases, which takes me back to a thought I had when Mr. Adediran was talking about the 70-20-10 rule. But I'm happy he said afterwards that it's just a guide, because really, it's true that most of your life's learning will come from experience, but you can't mess with a solid foundation in not theoretical education. When I say solid foundation, not theoretical education that is how do I say, that is anchored on theoretical concepts, right? So if you're looking for a practice-oriented subject, yeah, do an MBA. If you're looking to go into the academics, do an MSc. Let me put it like that. Yeah. Of course, we know that I don't think organizations are like that any longer in Nigeria, but in the past, organizations would just put you on a higher level just because you have an MSc. That doesn't happen any longer. So honestly, my recommendation is MSc if you want to do a PhD, MBA if you want to actually get into real work in terms of what's it called, practitioner-oriented kind of work. Exactly. Tinuka says in the chat box, MBA is experiential learning. Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Yetunde. If there are any more questions, we would email them to you, and hoping that you will please share your feedback with us. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you for having me. All the best, everybody.
Yes. Thank you. So I would be handing over to my next colleague, Nonso. Over to you for the next speaker, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Angel. So I would introduce our next speaker, and just share my screen. . Okay, so our next speaker is Opemipo Ilesanmi. Opemipo is an experienced HR professional with 7 years of generalist and specialist experience in the oil and gas industry. She possesses deep expertise in HR operations, HR information systems, recruitment, talent management, and diversity and inclusion. She is passionate about workforce development, organizational planning, employee engagement, and productivity. She holds her first degree in international law and diplomacy from Babcock University and her master's in international human resource management and comparative industrial relations from the prestigious University of Manchester Business School. She is certified with the Chartered Institute of Personnel Development UK and Human Resource Certification Institute HRCI. Hi, Opemipo, over to you.
Okay, good evening, everyone from Lagos, Nigeria, and good morning, good afternoon from wherever it is in the world that you are connecting from today. Can you please confirm you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Right, okay, so I'll just share my
Yes, we can.
screen. And thanks to all speakers, Dr. Yetunde Anibaba, who's just spoken, and all the speakers who have spoken here this evening. I think they've laid like a really solid background and provided a bit of context around professional development through various routes in HR, which is really important. So I will be sharing this evening on professional development through academic qualifications, which is MSc in particular. So Dr. Yetunde Anibaba has just spoken about MBA. I will be talking about MSc, and so by just way of defining what we will be talking about this evening, this is basically the outline of what I will be talking about, and so we'll get into that just right about now. I think the first thing to mention here for me is that in terms of moving from point A to point B is when you leave here today, some things that I had put down in my notes for people to actually identify. Sorry, let me share my video. To realize and recognize that there's no one-size-fits-all approach, right? So Adora has spoken about certifications. We've had Ajibola talk about certifications. We've heard something about MBA, but it's to recognize that there's no one-size-approach-fits-all, right? So your journey is different from my journey, and that's an important thing to note, right? And there's also the hat to wear around where is it you're going, right? Are you trying to be a local champion? Are you trying to be Nigeria specific? Or are you trying to be a global HR practitioner? Adora talked about that. Can you fit in as a HR professional wherever it is you find yourself? So I think in basically defining what professional development means, right? I also written that professional development is a lifelong journey or process. It requires deliberate and intentionality. So everybody here today has spoken about how it's an investment, right? You need to be deliberate, right? And say, how do I want to develop myself as an HR professional? So if there's anything that you leave here with today, is to recognize that professional development is deliberate, it has to be intentional, and there's no one-size-fits-all approach. Remember that there's no one-size-fits-all. What works for you may not work for me, but recognize that it's important to follow principles, that have been laid down, right? So that's what I think you should leave here with today. Right, so in terms of what the top 10 skills are, so for me, I thought that before we delve into HR development or professional development through MSc is to recognize or identify what are the top skills for the future. And there's a lot of literature online, if you take your time to read about that, to say what are the skills required for the future. I mean, the future we all talked about, yes, there's a saying that says the tomorrow we talked about yesterday is here today already. Last year, going even into this year has shaped the way or redefined how work is done globally. We've got the COVID brought about unprecedented times, and we had to basically have a shift in how work is being done, right? How do we do work? How do we, where is work being done from, and how should work be done? So there's a shift, right? And what are the skills that are relevant, right, for the future? And I highlighted the people management, and that was relevant in 2015, but also highlighted as a top skill in 2020. So people management is a really important skill that you need to have. And you can take some time, the source is actually the World Economic Forum, that's where this is from. People skills. And cast your mind back and think about, if you think about a doctor, have you ever heard a doctor that says that, oh, you don't need to go to medical school, you should just practice on people, you get that experience and then you should be fine? No, you don't hear doctors saying that. And so that is the same approach we need to take to people management. People are complex. People are the engine of any organization. You hear that your people make up your organization. People are of course, the organization is not going to run on itself. It runs with people, right? So the same approach that a doctor will take in skilling themselves, that an engineer will take in upskilling themselves, is the same approach we need to take to people management. So we cannot sit and say, oh, you need to get experience. And just like Adora mentioned, for crying out loud, who told you that your experience is the right experience? Anyway, you could practice the wrong thing for years. And we do have a lot of companies in Nigeria, in a manner of speaking, that are actually not practicing HR in the way that it should be practiced, right? So it's important that, we set this foundation to say people are important. And so dealing with people needs to be taken that seriously. You need to understand the principles behind certain decisions. If you're talking about employee engagement, talent management, resourcing, right? Diversity and inclusion, it needs to be deliberate. You need to spend your time and think about what are the principles, underlying principles for people engagement, for defining how work is done, how people perceive work, how employees are engaged, right? If your employees are not engaged, you don't deliver any value for the organization. So it's important that these skills, you need to hone your skills as an HR professional to say, how will I be managing people? You need to be intentional about people management. You cannot happen on people management. You need to sit back and say, how can I, as an HR professional, develop myself in such a way that I make a difference to the employees in the organization? Every time we hear the comment, where is the H in the HR, right? Spend some time thinking, how can I, as an HR professional, develop people? And that's why I thought to lay this foundation to say, what are the skills for the future? And how can you develop that skill as an HR professional? And if you go away with anything today, think about the fact that you are just as important as a doctor. An HR professional is just as important as a doctor, right? In the capacity of organizational development. And I mean, every organization seeks to get a competitive advantage. And how do you get that advantage? Is by ensuring that you've got the right people, engage them appropriately, and so that they can deliver value for the organization. So in terms of professional development, I just thought to highlight, right? Everyone has talked about that today, but what is it? What is professional development and why is it important, right? And how do you get that? And so I have here, the professional development is an investment you make into yourself to develop skills or competence. And that cannot be overemphasized. Every speaker here today has talked about an investment. And remember that I said, it is a lifelong process. So it doesn't mean that, I mean, we must be mindful of the economic realities that we have now. You don't have to have your certification now. You don't have to have your master's now. You don't have to do all this now. You can save, plan. It's a lifelong process, but as long as you have that goal in mind, is where do I want to be as an HR professional and what steps do I take to get in there, right? So planning your development that links directly to practice. So whatever you do has to be linked to your practice, right? That's important. So I said that's improving your skills to help you succeed in your career. Improving your skills to help you succeed in your career. And why is that important? Because it strengthens your professional credibility. Knowing that you've got an MSc, a certification, right, tells people that you know what you're doing. You're certified by SHRM is no joke. You're certified by CIPD is no joke. You're certified by CIPM is no joke. That you went to the University of Manchester, which I attended, is no joke. It's a prestigious university in the UK. So your professional development sets you apart, right? It gives you and strengthens your professional credibility. It makes you creative in tackling new challenges, right? So Dr. Yetunde just talked about theories, MSc helping you understand theories. What's the foundation? What are the principles, right, that you need to know in doing people issues, in solving people issues, in engaging employees, in keeping them motivated? There are underlying principles, right? And so what an MSc does for you, or what a professional development does for you, is to help you get creative in tackling new people challenges or new challenges, wherever it is that you find yourself. And then it boosts your confidence and increases your efficiency. So imagine that you keep doing something, they say that if you keep doing something the same way and expect to get a different result, you know what that is. But when you are equipped, when you've got skills, then it helps you do things better. If you don't know better, you can't do better. So it's important to invest in knowing better so that you can do better. And how can you do that? That's the first thing I have here, is furthering education and knowledge in a subject area. furthering education and knowledge in his subject area. The second thing is coaching and mentoring. And then I have got certification and experience. And for me, in my opinion, I think that it's not one over the other. I think it's important to state that it is not one over the other. I think it's important to get an MSc. I think definitely you need to be coached and mentored in your place of work in the course of your career. And you also need to get certified in whatever field that you choose to do. And of course, case in point now is HR. So for me, I think the point is it's not one over the other. It's important, in my view, to ensure that you've got all of these things to help you succeed in your career. Now I've got the evolution of HR. So think about it this way, is if the HR function or the HR business is evolving or has evolved over years, then why should you not? Why should you not? How we used to do HR from welfare officers before the First World War, leading into the Second World War, where we then had personnel training and management, human resource management, and strategic HR management. So when you talk about strategic HR management, I mean, everybody's talking about HR having a seat at the table, right? Recognizing what are the organizational objectives. You can't sit down and say, one of my senior colleagues will say, it's like saying, a doctor saying the operation was successful, but the patient died. If the organization is not succeeding, then HR has not succeeded. So it's important that we recognize that as an individual, everything in life changes. Things are changing, things are evolving, and that's why it's important for you to also evolve. HR is evolving, and as HR professionals, we must develop ourselves, we must upskill ourselves to that level where we're playing at the business level, recognizing what are the business issues. We talk about industry, we talk about experience, right? Experience is important and all of that, but remember that no industry is the same in Nigeria or anywhere. So you can be practicing something in the FMCG industry, but that doesn't apply in the oil and gas industry, in the energy industry, and in several other industries. So it's not one over the other. It's recognizing how you can, as an HR professional, recognize what is the situation, situational awareness. Where are you at? What organization do you sit in? What do we need to succeed as that organization? And how can we position people to help us gain a competitive advantage, right? And so an MSc in International Human Resource Management. And that's what I studied in the University of Manchester, which was really comparative. So there's this option of the International Human Resource Management and Industrial Relations, or the comparative Industrial Relations and International HRM. And what this really was to achieve is to help you develop knowledge of theoretical foundations. What an MSc does for you is to give you the theories, the principles. So this is what should be done. If you need to engage employees, what should you think about? Employee relations, what should you think about? And that's what these things do for you. It helps give you a base, a foundation, theories for the practice, right? Building understanding of strategic changes in HR. And so it's important to realize that the choice of where you go for your master's, or what you do in your master's particularly, would impact your knowledge level and would impact your experience as well. So I've just talked about how HR has evolved now, and you still find some schools calling their master's program in HR personnel management. If any school is personnel management, you shouldn't be going to that school, because HR has evolved from personnel management. So there's no such thing as personnel management. So that's the intentionality and deliberateness that needs to go into deciding when you want to go for a master's. Is what are the courses available, right? You don't just say, oh, because they said, oh, we need to have a master's, or because they said we need to have a certification, okay, I'm going to UNILAG to study this. No, you need to take your time and say, what do I even want to be, right? And which school or which institution better offers that opportunity. And so for the University of Manchester in particular, for this is the offering in terms of what the HR practice is. Now, I said, in terms of getting an MSc in HR, why is it important to get an MSc in HR? And for me, the first thing I've highlighted here is to help you grow and sharpen your skills, right? And some of the things that it does for you, right, in growing and sharpening your skills is, in doing an MSc in HR, you need to do a lot of research. How are things done? Not just in Nigeria. It gives you an opportunity to look at a world view. How are things done in China, in Germany? So that way you're bringing in different perspectives, which is how the world, goes. There's a conversation or a debate in HR in terms of best practice or best fit. Should we be doing just best practice, or saying what industry are we in today and what is the specific thing that fits that? And so that's what having an MSc in HR does. It helps you grow and sharpen your skills. You build leadership skills, understanding issues, communicating, and problem solving, right? Critical thinking and analysis. Ajibola talked about the CBAP thing, and critical analysis, your ability to be an analytic, it's really critical, right? In HR today, we're talking about data, using data to make informed business decisions. And those are the things that you get a foundation from when you do a master's. Greater opportunities is another thing I talked about. And someone asked a question already saying that, does it set you apart? I will tell you over and over again that doing an MSc or an MBA sets you apart. Think about it. Think about the population of people in Nigeria who are looking for jobs. How do you think they shortlist? What do you think they look for? And again, as I mentioned, where do you want to be? Do you want to be a local champion, or you want to play in the global space? So it's about opening your mind to say, where do I want to be, right? And what level do I want to operate at? So it's not just about thinking Nigeria, 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 or whether you like it or yes, it does open you for greater opportunities. It increases your earning potential. There are a number of organizations today, even Nigerian organizations, right, that you have people who have a master's earning higher than those who have a BSc. Maybe not in a one-man organization, but in many structured organizations, that's what you have. So it increases your earning potential. And again, not just Nigeria, think global. Look at jobs, search for jobs in UK, Canada, where it is, where have you. And even, in fact, in terms of conversion, Mr. Wale Adediran talked about conversion of your CIPM when you get to a US, for example, SHRM. You will see that some of the requirements is an MSc in HR. If you don't have an MSc in HR, you have to start again from the bottom. Again, it's about thinking global, right? It increases your earning potential. Then it enables you to make a career change, right? Some people who've done IT, who've done, I use myself as an example. So I studied international law and diplomacy at Babcock University. And initially, when growing up, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, right? You know, when you can talk a lot in this part of the world, you can argue and all of those things. People say, oh, you'll be a lawyer. And I thought, yeah, maybe I want to be a lawyer. So one thing led to the other, and I studied international law and diplomacy. And I thought, oh, after that, I'll go study law, you know. But I did a course in one of the modules in Babcock then, and this course was around personnel management. And I thought, this looks interesting. Managing people help you gain a competitive advantage. I think I would like to do this. And thankfully, my parents supported me in doing that and not just focusing on the law that I initially set out to do, right? So that was a change, moving from international law and diplomacy into studying HR. And guess what? The job I got, you know, was based on, you know, studying HR. I didn't have any HR experience per se, you know, before I got my job, right? I had served, after NYS, during NYSC, I served, I did a bit of HR, but I mean, I wouldn't even call that service here like core HR per se, but it enables you to make career changes. And like I said, there's no one size fit all. So someone who may be in a certain course can decide to transit into HR and can do that via MSc, right? And then it helps you build your credibility and network in HR. So in doing an MSc, you will find people in your classroom who some have experience actually. So you don't have only people who start from scratch. Like me, when I went for my master's, the only experience I had in HR was from NYSC. That was not sufficient. And so you find people who've actually been in HR for a while. So it expands your network, and then you meet different people, different cultures. And again, like I said, it builds your credibility. People know that, oh, you studied this from a prestigious university, then you must know something. And then it offers opportunities in some cases for certification. For example, in the University of Manchester, you find that the CIPD course was part of the international HR course. And why is that? Because CIPD looked at their own course curriculum, looked at the University of Manchester curriculum and saw that, wow, this actually, by doing some of these courses, it actually feeds into this. So we just had sessions where we had role plays and all of that. And then we had a management report at the end of the day. And that helped us to get the associate CIPD level. And then I can advance my certification from that. But then again, that's what it affords you the opportunity to do. If you don't have an MSc and you're just starting from afresh, then you are now having the conversation around, oh, how can I join CIPD and all of that. But you know, having an MSc in HR, which is also an important point in the choice of institution that you go, right? It affords you the opportunity to actually kill two birds with one stone. You get a master's and you get a certification, which is also very important. So why won't you increase your earning potential and you know, build your credibility, you know? And then just wrapping this up, is getting an academic qualification in HR. And I thought, what are some of the considerations that you should think about? And the first thing I have here is top schools for HR in the desired country. So is it Nigeria? What is the top school for HR in Nigeria? Is it UK? What are the top schools? And again, be mindful of economic realities, right? You don't have to go to the #1 school. But if they said they're like top 50 schools, at least you should be able to look for a school within that range, right? That is acknowledged based on the ranking to say, based on this, this school is being identified as, a great institution. And it helps to do that because that's what then enables or enhances your credibility when you pick a school that is rated, as one of the top schools. So that's important. You don't have to aim for #1, but at least maybe top 24, top 50 schools. That will be a good start. And now the course modules, right? So they're different. Is also to identify during Mr. Wale's session, somebody was asking about if you want to be a generalist or a specialist. So that's something you need to think about. Do I want to be an HR generalist or a specialist? And in which case, you then see there are different MSc options for HR. So you have international HR and industrial relations, you have international HR and international development, you've got international HR or HR and organizational behavior, you have organizational development. So there's a broad range, right, of things that you can actually do, get your MSc in HR. So it's for you to actually think and reflect, what is it am I trying to achieve as an HR professional? What do I want to be? Do I want to be an OD specialist? Do I want to be an ER specialist? Do I want to be a talent specialist? You have HR and talent management or whatever it is you want to be. So that's an important consideration. You need to think, what do I want to be? And that will help you in actually pruning down or looking through what are the institutions that offer this. And of course, the most important thing is cost. We cannot, we have to be mindful of that. So you can't just say, oh, do this and do that. Yes, it is an investment, but all fingers are not equal, as we say in this part of the world. So it's important that you also look at the cost, right? And in deciding which institution you want to go to, but not so much that you then go for an institution where that doesn't have credibility and at the end of the day, just for the sake of having a master's. No, it's important. Cost, while you think about all of these other things, you also need to think about the cost of living, cost of all the things you need to do, your tickets and everything to do to wherever you want to go to, or even if it's in Nigeria. But bear in mind that, like I said, top schools wherever you are going. If a school is having in 2021 personnel management, it is not a place to go, because that means you are like 20 years behind. The world has moved on. And as an HR professional, you need to move with the world. If you really want to be set apart, or if you want to be the top of the pack, or if you want to be credible, you have to be on top of your game, and you have to go to institutions that are updating themselves with what is going on, right? That's really important. It's not enough for you to just, like Adora said, the SHRM certification, you recertify after 3 years. Why? Why do you think you have to recertify? Because things are changing, right? And you need to also affirm that you are updating your skills and what's happening. So it's important that it's a real consideration, right? And in terms of funding, because I've talked about funding already, you can get scholarships. There are a number of scholarship options. Some schools offer partial scholarship and all of that. Then personal savings. Like I said, you don't have to do your master's now, but you can look at what is the average cost of a master's in the US, in the UK, in Cyprus. There are a number of schools in Europe that people don't even know about, that you can actually, if you really are interested in this thing, you need to just dig deeper and say, what are schools that I can go to, cost-effective schools? And in Europe, you can actually find a number of options. Family and maybe your friends also can help you with funding. And then company loans are put here equals to bonds. In this part of the world, if an organization is paying for you to go do a course, be rest assured that they would make you sign a bond, right? So you've gone to learn, you need to come back and transfer the knowledge that you have acquired into the organization. And what are the options, right? So there's a full-time option. So there's part-time and there's online. Since COVID, right, there's a number of schools have gone 100% online, whilst you have some online and then some part of it is physical. But there are full online programs which you can even leverage, and that is even more cost effective. But then again, you still get the value that you need from doing that. So I hope that with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you that an MSc is a valid and valuable route to professional development in HR, and one that you should, if you're opportune to, you should really consider doing, because it's not one or the other, but all of it helps you become a well-rounded HR professional. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Opemipo, for that very insightful and insightful presentation. Thanks for your time. Okay, so we'll quickly go into the questions. I have taken some questions that were sent via emails. So one of them is, how can I access a scholarship to study an MSc? As I know that there are scholarships out there, but I don't know how to access them.
So you may just have to check online. I don't have any details off the top of my head for, I think you can check UNICAF. That's one I see online that flags quite often, but you just have to check online, for scholarship options.
Okay. Okay, so another question. Apart from Manchester University, are there other universities you can recommend where I can study a master's in HR?
So you have London School of Economics, you have Salford University, which is also in Manchester, you have Manchester Metropolitan, also in Manchester, you have Coventry, you have Warwick, and there are so many universities. All you need to do is check online, check the top universities in the UK, if UK is your destination, for example. There are a host of them. I've just given you quite the ones that I know.
Okay, so we have another question, and she's asking, what about HR tech? That this is something she's interested in, but she can't seem to find anyone here in Nigeria or any school in Nigeria that offers it.
Sorry, I didn't get that question. Do you want to take that again?
She's asking about HR tech. That she can't, that it's a course she's interested in. Yes, I'm guessing she means maybe HR technology or maybe analytics, HR analytics or something, people analytics or something along those lines. So she's asking.
To be honest with you,
she's saying that she can't seem to find. Okay.
Yeah. So to be honest with you, I'm trying to really be a great Nigerian here, but there are really limited options in terms of. I mean, I'm even talking about the mainstream HR. We're not even up to date with that. So your likelihood of getting an HR course in Nigeria will probably be limited. And please, anybody feel free to correct me in the chat box if I'm wrong. But I do know that AIHR is a body that, offers some online courses. So there are some things there around people analytics, data analytics, which is the way of the future, by the way. So you can check out aihr.com and you'll find some information there. But in Nigeria, it's something that someone that covers or an institution that covers HR tech, I don't think you'll find that. Sorry.
Yeah, they are mostly what you see in countries, in schools abroad. Okay, so I will take another question. Just a minute, please. Okay, so as an experienced HR professional, she wants to know what drives you and what is your daily motivation.
What drives me? So business success, right? So ensuring that wherever I find myself, I want to make sure that it's the best. People are the best, and there's no successful organization without people who are properly trained, engaged to do the right thing. So it's having the right people with the right skills to provide that. So for me, that is what drives me to say, how can this companies succeed is ensuring that we've got the right people who are engaged. Because if an employee is not engaged, then the organization will not deliver any value. So that's my drive in ensuring that people are empowered to make decisions, people are empowered to enable business success. So that's what drives me. What was the other part of it? What motivates me daily? And I think what motivates me is the need to be, excellent and successful. Adora talked about money. Yes, I want money. I'm sure everybody wants money, but also in making money, doing something that I enjoy. So that I enjoy, working with people, preferring people's solutions, ensuring that the business is making the right decisions with regards to people, which would either hurt them or make it better. So I'm motivated by just business success, wanting to live a good life and comfortable life. That's important. So
Okay, thank you very much, Opemipo. Thank you for your time. I'm sure we've all learned a great deal. Thank you so much for all the insights that you have shared.
A comment in the. Sorry, Nonso.
Okay.
Yes, so I just see a comment in the box and I just thought to reiterate that, saying that don't let one person's opinion bother you. And it's important, you need to be mindful of your source and where you get information from and what feeds into how you make decisions concerning your life. Remember, if you don't take anything away from here, is that no one size approach fits all. Do what is best for you. And it's not one over the other. There's nothing wrong stopping you from having a master's, certification and experience, and which I have all of this, and that's why I was invited to speak here. So I think that you should be mindful of what information that you feed yourself with, but ensure that you take the right decisions, take the right steps, and equip yourself with what is needed for the future. And again, think global. Don't think Nigeria. Think global. Yeah, that would be my last comment. And thank you for inviting me for this session.
Thank you very much, Ope. All right, thank you, everyone. Angel, over to you for our next speaker.
Okay, thank you, Nonso, and thank you, Opemipo. I loved your last comment. Think global, don't think Nigeria. Thank you so much. So I will be introducing our last speaker for today. Please let me just share my screen.
Angel, just sorry to interrupt you. I mean,
okay.
Isn't Victoria there? I thought Victoria was supposed to read the last presentation.
Oh no.
Is there a problem?
Yes. So she's not able to at the moment.
All right. Okay. All right. So go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Okay, so introducing Remi Ogundairo, who is the group head HR of Telino Consulting Limited. Remi is experienced. She's an experienced group human resources manager with a demonstrated history of working in the telecommunications industry. She's skilled in customer relationship management, mentoring, interviewing, succession planning, and organizational development. She comes with strong human resources professional with an MSc focused in human resource management from the University of Sunderland. So please help me in welcoming Remi Ogundairo. Over to you now, Remi. Thank you.
Hello, Angel. Hello, Angel. Can you confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Good evening. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to be part of this session today. And I acknowledge all the speakers, the big wigs that have gone ahead of me. So I'm just trying to put on my video and to go on and share my content with all. So, and like Dr. Anibaba said, that you have the benefit of having a lot of people speaking ahead of you. So I am just going to run through the brief of what happened. So we have talked about professional development through different roles, and then we have also touched on certification. So I am talking about CIPD, certification this evening. And it became necessary to talk about this as we have our HR community going on, and a number of people are asking about CIPD, and also we were not able, and I am talking about it because I am an associate of the CIPD. So this evening, this is
Hi, Remi.
I'll try not to keep us for too long.
Hi, Remi.
And I'm just going to take.
Okay. Hi, Remi. Remi, please. Yeah, so
Hi.
Network is quite distorted.
Hi.
We can't really hear you very well. You're breaking in between.
Okay, so
I think it's probably your speaker. So maybe you want to check the speaker of the
apologies.
laptop.
Yes. I'm trying to connect. Is it any better? I've connected headphones to headphones.
Yes,
is it better?
Yes, yes, much better. Yes, much better now. Yes, it is now. Thank you.
Okay, so apologies. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you. So I'll run through the outline. So I'll just take an introduction and just to lend my voice to all that has been said so far on the necessity for continuous professional development. I'll talk about the personal benefits, about CIPD, basically what entails the CIPD. So we have gone to uni, we've graduated, some of us have started working. We're tempted to say, oh, yeah, you can give yourself a pat on the back and say, I have done well, at least I have earning power now. But hey, don't stay there too long, because the world around you is moving, the world around you is changing. You have people who are ambitious and deliberate about their professional development around you. So if you don't want to be left behind, and if you don't want to be yesterday's soft sell news, like I say, you need to take some specific and deliberate decisions on how you manage your career, really, because what you know, it becomes who you are and determines what come your way. And this is not only for freshers in the field, it applies to those of us who have been in the profession as well. Yes, you probably have your certification, and like the CIPD, that doesn't require Shrm requires a certification. CIPD does not require that. So you're not expected to rest on your oars and think you have a right. You have to keep at it and attend trainings and or whatnot. So I'll just
hi Remi. So I'm so sorry to stop you in between. Hi Remi. Hi Remi. So sorry to stop you in between. The audio is not clear. Maybe if you can drop the earphones, it's a bit closer to your mouth, so it's a bit distorted. Okay. So can you try and speak now, and let's see if it's going to be clear. Yes. So
yes, I've dropped it. I thought it would just be better to. Okay, I should go on.
Yes.
This way.
Yes, you can go on. This is very clear now. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So I on the personal benefits of HR professional certification, because one, you're learning forward, and in the workplace is in a situation now that you somehow have to create need to make your employer and the organization aware to what can be done differently. So you are not selling yesterday initiatives. You need to be abreast of what is happening in your field. After certification, yes, if you're a member of a body like CIPD, they always apologies for the from my side. So they always keep you abreast of happenings in the field, sending you reports, recent researches, and all of that. So, and disruption, we all keep talking about what happened last year. Now everybody is talking about agile and all of that. So you need to beyond the certification, also be in the know about what is happening around you and your professional bodies. CIPD being one of them gives you that opportunity. So it improves your career advancement opportunities, provides opportunity for you to learn, develop, and connect. And it sets beyond all of that, it sets standards against which you can benchmark your performance and your knowledge. I'll speak more in a bit, and when I get to the HR professional map adopted by the CIPD. So about CIPD, which I believe most of us know about, it's Chartered Institute.
Hello, hi Remi. Apologies, so sorry. So it's distorted. Do you mind leaving and rejoining, or is that something you can?
It is the network. It's the network. Really
is your network okay?
So do you want somebody else to take this over?
Okay, so can you log out and try again? Okay, so sorry about that. So sorry about that. Okay.
Thank you, Remi. We're really eager to hear you speak, so we'll just wait for you to log in and log out. In the meantime, I'd like to find out. I'm going to. Are you logging out now, Remi? Yes, everyone is saying to you that if you log out and log in again, it will be better. Thank you, Angel.
Okay, Emma. So
yeah, so what I've done is, go ahead, Angel, go right ahead. I've unmuted the mics. So if anyone has any questions they want to ask, if anyone would like to raise their hands and let us know if they have questions, please go ahead and do that while we're waiting for Remi to come back. Do you have any questions you would like to ask? Would you like to unmute your mic and ask any questions? Is there anyone out there who would like to ask any questions while we're waiting for Remi to come back? And then if Remi is unable to continue, Opemipo, are you still there? Ope, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Right, so Ope, you are also a qualified CIPD practitioner, are you not?
Yes, I am. I am.
Right, so I mean, if Remi can't come back, please could you just round off the session, and it would be a very worthy addition, all right, to what you have spoken about already concerning the MSc HR. Okay, so just give us a few points about the CIPD qualifications. Why did you have to get it, you know, after you had gotten your MSc in HR? Wasn't it enough for you to have your MSc in HR? Okay. So if she's unable to come back, you're more than able to take those qualifications, all right?
Okay.
Right.
So I mentioned during the presentation that I was muted, sorry, was part of the international HR course that I did in the University of Manchester. And that was one of the reasons I actually went for it, because I wanted something that I wouldn't have to pursue separately. And there's also something around timing. You know, they say timing is everything. So whilst you have some people delay their masters on to say, I want to get experience years after, or I want to do my certification years after, I was very clear in my head at the time, you know, I was going to get married to my husband. So I wanted to do whatever I needed to do before I started, you know, having kids or doing whatever, so that I can just give it maximum concentration. So that was one of the reasons why I did that. So CIPD was part of the course. So what we used to do then was, so now what it is that CIPD actually has its own courses. So you have to go through all of their modules. But as part of the course, we were covering most of the things, and what we just had was a session every Friday where we touched on different topics: employee relations, employee engagement, and we had role plays like every Friday. Now, at the end of the course, we then had, you know, usually you write a dissertation, right? And my dissertation was around talent management in Nigeria. And then we had to write a management report for CIPD, and then we got the certification if you passed they had reviewed it and saw that you passed. So that was how I got the CIPD qualification. However, it's around continuous development and evolving yourself. So after the associate CIPD, you've got the membership. So CIPD, MCIPD, FCIPD. So M for membership and F for fellowship. And that means that, so they have like an assessment, right? So the expectation is after you've gained your associate path into CIPD, then you evolve or you graduate, if you like, into the, please, once Remi comes, you can please feel free to stop me so that I don't.
Yes, we're waiting for her to come back on. Go on.
Okay. So you have the membership route, which is, after you've advanced, you've gotten a bit more experience, let's say like 5-6 years, where you've maybe led a team, led an a diversity and inclusion initiative, or basically they would ask you for your experience. So it's either a telephone interview or an assessment, a written assessment, where you will be asked a number of different questions. I'm in that process right now of trying to upgrade my membership to the membership level. So again, that's where experience comes in. So it's not enough to have done it via just reading and doing that. Now you need to elevate, and that will require experience. Hands-on experience is what will then help you, continue that certification. So that's what I would say. But it's UK specific. But the beauty of CIPD, which is different from SHRM or HRCI, it's kind of similar to Nigeria, right? So you can apply some of those things, unlike the US ones where they have like province specific laws and all of that. So for US and Canada, their laws just imagine in Nigeria if we had a different law for Lagos and some for Abuja and that kind of a thing. But for CIPD, it's easy to actually apply the things in the UK to Nigeria. It's pretty similar. So that's the
fantastic. All right, so Remi is back now. Okwe, be on standby just in case we haven't solved this. Remi, over to you. Remi, over to you. Remi, over to you.
Yeah, I can hear you, Emma. And well, like I said, it's the network and there isn't much I can do about that. I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay, yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Welcome back, Remi.
Okay, so basically the CIPD is it's a professional body in the UK, and we all know that, so I'm not going to dwell on that. So the training actually focuses on using the professional map on which the competencies required to develop web-based. At the heart of the competency model, you have the purpose of the HR profession. And it is believed that if that is gotten right, that every other thing else will first fall in place. So you have the core knowledge area, you have the core behaviors, and then you have the specialist knowledge. I won't go into detail into that. It's something you can find online. And it's a tool that personally I use for my professional development. Under the core knowledge areas, for instance, you have business acumen, which is one area that everyone that had spoken today had spoken on, that HR is considered, we're not taken serious because we don't have a business understanding of the business. So the HR, the CIPD current professional map has taken that into consideration in developing this curriculum. And if you're already a member of the CIPD at whatever level, there is a training also online that members can go to refresh themselves and keep themselves abreast of happenings in the field. So the next, so becoming a CIPD member, you can either study a qualification, or you can have your experience assessed. I have in the table here what it entails, depending on where you're starting from. They also have a tool online that you can, it's like an assessment that you can take, and it will tell you at what level you can start and what status grade you can pursue. So it's something that is available online, and you can check it if CIPD is something you're interested in. So the membership grades these are what currently obtains. You have the student member, the foundation member, associate, chartered, and then the chartered fellow. I am an associate member, and I have been, I started from being a graduate member because on graduation with my MSc, the CIP, we ran on the CIPD curriculum. So it's part, as you graduated, you became a graduate member. And then when the categorization changed, I became an associate, and at the moment currently looking to upgrade. And because of that, I've had to take some trainings also on with CIPD to ensure that I am operating at the proficiency level that is expected of a chartered member. So the membership fee, the CIPD is an association that you pay your membership fee annually, and on there you can see what obtains at the moment. This does not cover your training and then material if you're going through the CIPD route. And with COVID also, because they don't have a hub in Africa, they don't have in Nigeria like they have outside of the UK in Middle East and Asia. But now you can take your trainings online, and also I believe you can take your exams online. I had colleagues in the past who joined the CIPD based on the assessment of their certification and their experience, and it was basically an online thing. So it's something, if you have the means, the resources, it's something that you can get through from Nigeria. So what benefits obtains if you're a member of the CIPD? You have the knowledge hub. People who are close to me and people who are on my HR group know that most of the materials that I use, when sharing knowledge, they come from the CIPD. Some of them are available to non-members, but most are for people, they are for paid members, and you also get the opportunity to apologies for that. You also have opportunity to get access some journals that they have. You have access to EBSCO, one of like a large repository for journals. So depending on what you want to do, where you want to be and where you want to go, if the resources are available to you, well, CIPM is Nigeria-based, and we heard from Mr. Adediran on the fact that for you to practice in Nigeria, you would have to be CIPM. CIPD has been a very good, apologies, I couldn't continue with the share. It has been a very good tool for me as a person in my career development and moving forward, because I in the course of you have assignments, and there is an online HR community that you can always refer to get support. And you have during this COVID, something newly that was introduced was a helpline for well-being. It's something that I also used a lot during that time. So basically, CIPD, it offers you beyond the certification, continuous support to grow your career from where you are and where you want to be. So I think I'll be stopping there. So if anyone has any questions or any area that they want to clarify on CIPD, I'll be glad to take the questions.
Okay, Remi, thank you very much. I appreciate you sharing that with us, and we're so sorry with the network. So a few questions that were sent in via mail. Would you still advise professionals to get CIPM or any other qualifications after they get CIPD?
Okay, because as it is now, we might have no other option than to get CIPM, if going by what Mr. Adediran said here. But for me, if it is, the reason I didn't bother about CIPM was because I already had CIPD, and it's internationally recognized certification. So, but going by what Mr. Adediran said, if it then becomes mandatory to be certified with CIPM in Nigeria, then you will have to.
Okay. And the next question is, can a CIPD qualification help me to get an international job?
Well, if you're familiar with how things work in the West, which I believe also applies in Nigeria, is that there are quotas. Before you will be hired from outside, there are conditions that vacancy would have had to satisfy, like they have advertised it in the country, they've not been able to fill it locally, and then that's when they can go outside of that country to recruit. I won't say it's not possible, but we have to, in having expectations, we have to apply reality of what obtains. It's not impossible. But if you're relocating, of course, by the time you're local in the country, it's something that you will have to, that will be required for you. And I'm not even sure in the UK, for instance, if it is mandatory for you to be a CIPD member to be an HR professional.
Okay. All right. Then one last question. So you and Ope got your CIPD with your MSc HR. I already have a master's degree in HR already, but I would still like to get the CIPD. How can I achieve this?
There is a tool that you can use online, and of course it will, what it will mean is for them to assess the content of the course that you took, and then it will help them determine the level at which you can come in. But if you've also had HR experience, depending on how long, you can also follow the experience assessment route for them to assess and then be able to award the certification at the end of the day. So it cannot be direct if you did not. If the degree was from UK, I wonder, because most of their unis for masters in HRM, it comes with a CIPD on graduation. So if it's a UK university, you can check with the body, the CIPD, and then I'm sure they'll be able to assess the courses that you took and all of that to be able to determine on what basis to award.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the knowledge you have shared.
Thank you too.
God bless you so much. Thank you very, very much. And thanks to everyone that has joined us. I will be handing over to our governor, Emma Clark. Over to you now, Emma.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Emma. We can hear you.
Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. Right. So can everyone see me now? Hello, everyone.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. All right. So thank you, everyone, for coming. This has been an extremely wonderful event. Okay. I particularly have learned a lot. And I think that one of the things that I've got from today is, as one of our speakers said, there is no, one route to getting into HR, all right? There are many different ways of doing this, and I'll just share with you what I have taken away from everything that we have listened to over the last couple of hours that we've been here. First of all, I would always say, and I've always said this, that a very simple and easy way to get into the HR profession is to do your certifications. Those are cheaper, more cost-effective methods of getting into HR, and they will also get you the recognition that it is that you need when you're trying to get an HR job. However, if you want to build yourself as a strategic business partner, one of the best things that I would advise you to do is to go and get a master's degree, either an MBA or an MSc in human resources. I kind of did that, I practiced first of all and did what Mr. Adediran said. I built up all the necessary competencies. I got a lot of practical experience. And then it was later in my life that I then went to get a master's degree, and I specialized in, I did a specialization in human resources with a tilt towards organizational behavior. All right, so there is that wisdom, and there is that, there are all those ideas that we've been given. We have been told what we should do. We have been told that there should not have just one route into a place. Yemi, could you please mute your mic? I know I unmuted everybody, so that is what is causing the issue now. All right, please, could you mute your mic? Thank you. All right, so there, you've got to just take all this information, go back, sift through it, and ask yourself, what should I be doing right now? I'm at a specific point in my career, all right? Maybe you're at the beginning, maybe you're at the middle, maybe you are, quite senior in your career. When I made the decision to go and do a master's degree in human resources and organizational behavior, I was quite senior in my career. I was also trying to make sure that I stabilized my life as a consultant, and I definitely needed a lot of the theoretical knowledge. We should not we shouldn't disregard theory, okay? Theory is very important to back your practice, all right? We can't keep practicing without getting an understanding of what exactly is providing the basis for our practice. And that's what the theory does for you. The theory explains to you. That's why I can walk into any situation and understand what is going on. For example, a client told me the other day, a lot of theft has started to happen in my organization. And immediately the client said that, I started to ask questions. Is there a disparity in terms of your pay? What kind of approaches have you taken to taking certain decisions in your organization? How do you interact with people within your organization? Simple things like that can make a difference to whether theft is going up in your organization or theft is not going down. If people, for instance, tell me my employees are demotivated, they're disengaged, they don't seem to be interested in their work, I kind of like know where to go to, what theory to go and pick that, and it's not theory per se, it is what it just means is it's research that has been done, by academics who have been trained to watch phenomenon, and different phenomena, you know where to go to get this theory, to be able to explain things that are going on within your organization. So when people talk about theory, please do not disparage theory, don't disregard theory. Theory is very important for your practice, and you must never disregard it, okay? And I love also what Dr. Anibaba said. You want to be a more practical person, all right? The lovely thing about an MBA is an MBA allows you to you can orientate in any direction. So what is the difference between an MBA and an MSc? When I did my MSc, I didn't do marketing, I didn't do accounting, I didn't do any of those core strategic, I didn't do finance, I didn't do any of those courses that would help me to orientate towards the business side of things within an organization. Nevertheless, because I had practical experience in those areas, it's not a problem for me to do that. But that's what happens when you have a strictly, when you have a degree that is strictly an MSc, you probably might not be able to orientate as well as someone who has an MBA. Nevertheless, the MBA person would still need to come to you and say, I need advice from you theoretically about certain things that I think that are happening within the organization, and I would like for you to explain this. And then we come to the certifications. They're very good, all right? They give us a good basic knowledge of what is going on, within the HR community. And with the certification, you don't need to break the bank. You can go in there, you can do CPC, IPM, you can do something very simple to help you to get noticed within the HR community. And of course, Mr. Adediran has already given us that expo. He's let us know that if you want to practice as a generalist within the HR, or even as a specialist within the HR community, you want to get a job. As I keep reminding everyone, I am not practicing as a generalist. I am a consultant, all right? So I don't necessarily need all the certifications that have been talked about today. For me, what would possibly be better for me are academic qualifications, all right? So that I can get as much theory to back my practice, okay? So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it has been amazing having you here today. We've really enjoyed. We're sorry to have kept you for so long. We were going to end by 7, but a few technical glitches kept us from, finishing on time. But we know that this was I know I've learned a lot. This was an amazing session. Our commitment to you in the community is to keep giving you good food. That's what I call it. Good stuff that you can take back with you and help you to build your career, to build your profession, all right? And we also promised you that we'll constantly provide context in which you can strategically engage with the human resource community. And we're glad that we've been able to have another opportunity like this to share so many ideas about HR. So next week, we're gonna have an amazing time. You do not want to miss it. Yemi Adeosu and his team are going to be back, and Tinika Okusaga, they're going to be back here. They're bringing on 20 mentors to come and mentor everyone here. So you do not, and guess, we have an amazing number of people who are coming in. Yemi Adeosu, he's bringing Yemi Fashion. All right, so we all know Yemi Fashion, he's going to be in the house. So you do not want to miss this. So as soon as we put out the poster there and we start saying to people, register, be one of the first people to register. So you don't want a situation where you don't get into this program. You're going to have the opportunity of a lifetime to be mentored by the best in the industry. All right, so thank you so much for coming for this program today. And I look forward to seeing everyone again next week. From me, it's your host and your governor, Emma Clark. I'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We appreciate all of you and your time for being here. We'll just say a short prayer and then we can all leave the chat room. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for your goodness upon our lives. We thank you for the knowledge that has been imparted into every one of us. We ask and pray that you give us the grace to ensure that we're able to meet all our expectations and all our needs in the name of Jesus. We thank you for the speakers today. We ask and pray that you equip them in the mighty name of Jesus as